Sergeant at Arms, you're waiting for your signal.
We are ready, Chair.
Thank you. I want to welcome the delegation from Samburu County Executive to the Senate, to the Public Accounts Committee of the Senate. We started our meeting much earlier at 10 o'clock. We've had a brief from the relevant stakeholders. We are now at the point of the agenda where we want to listen to the submissions of the County Executive of Samburu. We will start this session with a word of prayer, and I will ask my Vice Chair to lead us in prayer.
Let us believe and pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold the abundant favor and blessings as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen.
Thank you, Senator Maruma. Honorable members, we shall adopt the agenda formally. Our agenda today is to consider the report of the Auditor General on Samburu County Executive, County Revenue Fund, Receiver of Revenue, but in particular, the recommendations of the Senate and implementation status on the recommendations of the Senate. Could I get a proposer from amongst the members?
Chair, propose.
Thank you, Senator Wambua. Seconded. Can I get a seconder from the members?
Chair, second.
Thank you, Senator Lelegwe. Very quickly, we'll do a round of introductions, starting with the members of Senate present. I could start from Senator Dulo. Go on record.
Fatuma Dulo, Senator Isiolo, member.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Lelego Tumbesi, Senator for Samburu County and member of this committee.
Good morning, Governor and your delegation. My name is Jones Maruma, Senator representing Taita Taveta, member of Vice Chair to this committee.
Thank you, Chair, members, and delegation from Samburu. My name is Eno Komboa, Senator Kitui, and a member of this committee.
You're welcome, honorable members. I'm Moses Otieno Kajwang, Senator from Homa Bay. I chair the committee. The clerk supporting the committee?
I'm going to David Clerk of the committee.
Kibet Kevin, committee clerk.
Michelle Otoro, legal counsel.
Osman Hira, research officer.
Matthias Musa, intern.
Shalim Simbi, Hansard officer.
John Chege, Sergeant at Arms.
Chair, that's all from us.
Okay, you're welcome. The Office of the Auditor General?
Good morning, Chair and members. I'm Muruki Patrick, the last one officer.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Zado Koech, Director, Nanyuki Regional Office. Thank you.
That's it from the OAG.
That's all, Chairman.
Karibuni from the National Treasury.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. My name is Reverend CPA Kimathi Kwiriga from the National Treasury Liaison Office.
Karibu, Reverend, and from the EACC.
Yes, thank you, Chair, for this opportunity. Christine Mweo, EACC. Thank you.
Karibu. The other institutional members of this committee is the Control of Budget and the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. They are part of this committee. They'll be joining us in due course. Clerk, did we invite the County Assembly of Samburu?
Yes, Chair. We made a communication to the County Assembly of Samburu. However, we didn't get any response. Even on calling them this morning, couldn't reach the clerk of the assembly.
Perhaps let me ask whether there is any member of the County Assembly of Samburu, particularly the Public Accounts Committee, in this room. If not, then let's go to the executive. Governor Samburu, go on record.
Chair, my name is Lati Lelelit, Governor Samburu County.
Your delegation could also go on record, name and what you do in the county.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Silvana Caparo, CC in charge of Finance, ICT and Economic Planning.
Letrock Solomon, Chief Officer Finance.
Joseph Lekalkuli, Director of Finance.
Paul Lenguro, PA to the Governor.
Morning, Chair. Patrick Lakeman, CC Water.
Morning, Chair. Wilson Lesuda, County Secretary and Head of Public Service.
Good morning, Chair. Mark Egelan, CC Education and Vocational Training.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Andrew Lisepade, Payroll Manager, Samburu County Executive.
Priscilla Lanyasunya, Director, Human Resource Management.
Good morning, Chair. Thomas Lenakio, Director, Legal Services.
Good morning, Chair. Samuel Sarafino, CEO Roads and Transport.
Thank you, and good morning, Chair. Steve Limeteki, Municipal Manager.
Good morning, Chair. Steve Leakono, CEO Water.
Good morning, Chair. Moses Langupae, Deputy Director, Education.
Good morning, Josephat Lenguris, Chief Officer, Medical Services.
Good morning, I'm David Lanakula, Chief Officer, Education, Early Childhood.
Good morning, my name is Iwana Lekerpes, Chief Officer, Livestock and Animal Health.
Morning, Chair. Jonathan Lengoloni, Chief Officer, Economic Planning and ICT.
Mike Lekada, Chief Officer, Housing and Urban Development.
Sergeant at Arms, has everyone gone on record?
Yes, Chair.
Fine, then we welcome you to the Senate. We shall proceed to the next order, which is administration of oath and tabling of documents.
I, largely Lilith, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this committee in respect of matters before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, sir, I hereby table the following documents before the committee: management responses and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on County Executive of SAMBURU for the year 2024-2025. Management responses and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on the receiver of revenue statement for the County Executive of SAMBURU for the financial year 2024-2025. And finally, management responses and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on the County Revenue Fund for the County Executive of SAMBURU for the financial year 2024-2025.
Auditor General, could you confirm that you have reviewed the responses?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I hereby confirm that we've reviewed the management responses and the accompanying annexures, and we are ready to proceed. Thank you.
Clerk of the Senate.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I can confirm that we received the management responses and accompanying annexures from Samburu County Executive as prescribed in our letter to Samburu, inviting them to this meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Senator Chirarge, you could go on record.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, Chirarge Kiprotich is my name. Senator of the Republic of Kenya, representing the great people of Nandi and a member of this committee.
Karibu. Today, Tuesday, the 9th of June, the Senate is dealing with a very important matter that relates to county governments. We are in mediation with the National Assembly on the Division of Revenue Bill. The Senate has proposed that counties should be allocated 454 billion, while the National Assembly proposes 420 billion. Some of the members of my committee, specifically the senator representing the people of Samburu, Senator Lelegwe, is a member of the mediation committee, and at some point we'll release him to go into the mediation meeting. We still insist that despite the many issues that come up in the reports of the Auditor General, we still believe that counties need greater funding. With 454 billion, which is a Senate proposal, Samburu County is supposed to get 6.925 billion out of that. And that would be a very significant increase from what has been there previously. In fact, with 6.925 billion, and you include the additional allocations, the equalization fund, your own source revenue, it would be possible for Samburu to run with a budget of 8 billion Kenya shillings. We don't think it's enough, but we think if we use it well, it can reflect in livelihoods, and it can reflect in an improvement in conditions in Samburu. And that is why this conversation is important, that we cannot have strong engagements only when we are looking for revenue, and when it comes to expenditure, we do not create that opportunity. Today's meeting will focus on the expenditure side. On the revenue side, I think the people of Samburu, you've got a friend in the Senate, that we shall continue fighting for counties to get more money. But this is a committee that has been mandated to ensure that that additional money, that 6.925 billion that is going to Samburu, is properly utilized. That is the intention of today's meeting. There's been a lot of drama in the public domain. There's been a lot of exchanges, very unhealthy exchanges in the public domain with regards to the mandate of the Senate. As a chair of this committee, I will not allow any extraneous issues to get into today's proceedings. We shall be guided by the report of the Auditor General and the responses and submissions of the Governor. So for the people of Samburu, our commitment today is to make sure that every single cent that was sent by the Senate to Samburu is accounted for. I think with that, I want us to go straight to the report of the Auditor General. We've got 3 reports, the one on the County Executive, the Receiver of Revenue, and the County Revenue Fund. We have received a brief from the Auditor General on critical matters that we must deal with today.
Chair.
If we are unable to conclude all the matters before us before 2:30, which is the time the Senate sits, we will have no option but to adjourn and set another date for us to deal with the residual matters. But our commitment is that we shall demand accountability for the expenditure of the last cent that is sent to Samburu. I think it was important that I give that guidance, so that we know that here we are dealing with the report of the Auditor General that is before us. Senator Charaki.
Chair, on a matter of procedure, I remember the last time with the entity appearing, it was very protracted. So I thought it would be important to dispose of that matter before proceeding. Because the last time, you remember, there was a warrant of arrest was issued. So I thought it would be important if it was lifted and consequences are there too. Then we rest that matter, we move to substantive. Whether the fine was issued, Chair, I think so for the benefit of Samburu people and Kenyans, because the last image they have was totally different. Although the appearance of Governor and his team is a constitutional obligation, it's not a favor to the Senate. It is not favor to the people of Samburu, because accountability is captured in Article 10 on national values and principles of good governance, and even on principles of public finance, Chapter 13 of accountability and transparency. It is a constitutional obligation. So as much as I appreciate that we want to ensure counties get more than last time, as you have indicated, 454 billion, and we are fighting hard with the National Assembly to increase, the same zeal and passion where we are pushing more resources to Samburu and other 46 counties, the same zeal and passion of accountability, transparency should be approached vehemently. And therefore, I thought in the interest of the public and the people of Samburu and all of us, that matter needed to be put on rest, because, Chair, you saw even on the ruling that happened yesterday in the High Court, everything that Parliament and the Senate does will one day come before another forum under scrutiny. So we don't want to leave Kenyans hanging that when the governor of Samburu, a warrant of arrest was issued, we tried to implement, we didn't succeed. Now that he has appeared, what is the fate of such process? Because, you know, we are worried the next time we can issue another warrant of arrest to another witness, they can go to court and say, you know, the governor of Samburu, a warrant was issued, and then the committee proceeded without dispensing of. So I thought for neatness and also for future presidents, that matter must be put to rest so that we don't risk reopening in another forum. I yield back, Chair.
Members, do you want us to spend time on this or I give direction? Senator Wambua?
Chair, I think you just give direction. We don't need to debate it. And as you do that, Chair, I also want to associate myself with your own comments. That nobody here is an enemy of the people of Samburu. In fact, for the benefit, Chair, of the governor and the delegation from Samburu, I want to go on record that in the last formula for sharing revenue among counties, Samburu is one of the 12 counties that was receiving very little money. I personally, Chair, in consultation with you, my colleagues, moved an amendment on the formula, and where we all agreed under Article 203 of the Constitution on affirmative action to give an additional 370 million Kenya shillings to the 12 counties, Samburu included. And the deal actually was, if you remember very well, colleagues, that this money was supposed to be ring-fenced for us to be able to see certain outcomes from that money. Whether that has happened or not, the auditors will tell us. So, Chair, what I'm saying is, we as a Senate are fully committed to ensuring that devolution works and monies go to the counties. And in the same spirit, we are committed to accountability for the monies. Chair, you can direct us.
Vice Chair, maybe a brief comment?
Yeah, Chair, I've looked at the three reports. The report on the executive is quite long. And I would suggest that we apply ourselves to the report and the numbers to the actual issues raised in the Auditor General's report. I quite agree with Senator Wambua that we gave some money in terms of affirmative fund to the county of Samburu. Taita Taveta also benefited. And I think let's just get to know what the money going to Samburu is doing for the people of Samburu. We can leave the other issues maybe pending and would wait for a direction. Thank you, Chair.
I believe Senator Chirarge has not raised an idle contribution, but I think to give clarity is that we directed the Inspector General to produce the governor of Samburu before this committee, not as a specimen or as an exhibit. We wanted him before this committee to do what we are just about to do. And his appearance here and his presence here therefore purges that arrest warrant. I think it would have been a different matter if he was not before us. That arrest warrant would still exist, but his appearance, I think, purges that and purges the contempt that was there before. There was a question as to whether we had pronounced ourselves on a fine. In the case of Samburu, I think we were not very clear on whether the governor should be fined, just like the other, I think, 20 or so other entities. So when we checked our records, it appeared as if that communication and that resolution did not come out clearly when we moved our motion on 31st of March. And therefore, the clerk of the Senate confirms that we didn't communicate and we didn't recommend a fine. The only thing that we resolved was the governor be arrested and produced before this committee. I think now that the governor is here, let's go on and do that which we wanted him to do, that which we wanted the Inspector General to produce him here to do. And I'm glad that he has come here not having been formatched by the Inspector General, but he has come here knowing that it is a constitutional responsibility. The point raised by Senator Wambua, Samburu gets 371.6 million, 371.6 billion as an affirmative action support to Samburu alongside 11 other counties. And Senator Samburu, I know you made a very strong case for Samburu to be part of this list. Next time, please convince us with the report of the Auditor General I think next time honorable members will be saying, if you're doing affirmative action, then let's also look at the expenditure, because it can't be that we think that some counties need more money and yet we don't have clarity on how that money is being spent. I think just to deal with those preliminary matters, my direction is let's go to the report of the Auditor General. The governor is here. The people of Samburu are following. Let's look at how money was spent in the financial year 2024-2025. As we usually proceed, even though this is not the typical audit, because this is implementation. By non-appearance, the Senate adopted the report of the Auditor General as is. So the formal position of the Senate is where there is an irregularity, the House agrees there's an irregularity. Where there is unexplained expenditure, it is the position of the House that that expenditure is unexplained. What you're doing today is just mitigation and giving confirmation of action taken to correct whether it's administrative action, whether it's investigation, or whether you're disputing that finding of the Auditor General. But since we have not had the privilege of going through this report previously, we'll do it in the traditional way. The Auditor General, you'll make your finding, the governor will respond, the Senate will interrogate, and we'll do that quickly for every issue. So start with the opinion on the County Executive report, and then we go to the basis of the opinion.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I hereby present the report of the Auditor General on the County Executive of Samburu for the year ended 30th June 2025. The opinion was qualified opinion and had...
When you say qualified, does it mean it's free from error and misstatements? Because that has created a bit of confusion that yes. When people hear it's qualified, they assume that it is the best report ever.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Our report is always in 3 parts. The first part is on qualification. This talks about the accuracy and completeness of the financial statements. So the second part is the report on lawfulness and effectiveness of use of public resources. And the third part is report on the effectiveness of internal controls, risk management, and governance. So when we talk about qualified report, is that except for material misstatements that have been noted, the financial statements fairly are presented in accordance to the applicable financial reporting framework. So it is about certification of the financial statements, Chair.
Yeah, the key word is except.
Yes.
And you've got a long list of exceptions there. So let's go into those exceptions. Start with issue number 1.
Thank you, Chair. The first issue is on unsupported and long outstanding trade and other payables. The statement of the financial position and note 32 to the financial statements reflect trade and other payables, balance of Kenya shillings 431,831,736, which comprise of trade payables of 343,574,482 Kenya shillings, and third-party payables of Kenya shillings 88,257,254. However, trade payables amounting to Kenya shillings 176,378,605 were not supported by local service or purchase orders, invoices, signed contracts, or delivery notes to confirm delivery of goods, provision of services, or execution of works. This was contrary to Regulation 104, subsection 1 of the Public Financial Management, County Governments Regulations 2015. Further, Kenya shillings 28,555,160 had been outstanding for over 3 years and were not paid as the first charge on the County Revenue Fund. In addition, the third-party payables includes salary deductions of Kenya shillings 27,467,566 that had not been remitted for more than 5 years. The failure to remit statutory and third-party reductions were contrary to Regulation 41, subsection 2 of the Public Finance Management County Governments Regulations 2015, which provides that debt service payments shall be the first charge on the County Revenue Fund. In the circumstances, the accuracy and completeness of the trade and other payables balance of Kenya shillings 431,831,736 could not be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, you may respond, but just give us a minute to make sure that we have your actual written response. Clerks? Okay. Members, are we all on the same page? Okay. So the governor may respond.
Chair, I will let my CC Finance respond on my behalf.
Chair, on procedure one, since the reports had been adopted by the House as is, as per the timeline, the governor should be able to tell us the implementation status of recommendation, because if we go back, it looks like we are reopening again because we had made recommendations. And Chair, I am hesitant with this aspect of, unless on technical aspect, I think as a committee we must make rules with a lot of indulgence, where the person who took an oath does not want to go on record and delegates to another entity, which is okay. I would wish it is only on technical aspect, but on the part of owning and responding should be squarely based on the governor. Then if there are any technical matters, the people working with the governor, including CEOs, or on technical aspect, they can respond, because we are creating a very dangerous precedent and bad precedent where a county, I'm not saying only Lelit, Governor Lelit, but other entities where they appear and decide. I will not say anything, but let my people speak. Yet the person who took an oath should be the one who should go on record. When we ask technical aspects now on the issue of financial statement, the issue of documentation, the preparation, then CCM Finance can come on board. I think that is the least we can do, because the people of Samburu would want to listen to the governor accounting for money received, not the CCM. I yield back, Chair.
Now, since the written submissions are with us, if the governor chooses not to read the written submissions, I see no harm. But the committee can pose specific questions to the governor, which he cannot refer to any other party. If the committee demands an answer from the governor, I think that is a point at which I shall direct that the governor must respond directly. I think if it's just for reading the written submissions, he can delegate. But if a member asks a specific question which requires the governor to answer, I think the chair will direct that the governor answers.
Chair, we are guided. Chair also guide the entity properly that as Sergei mentioned, we are dealing with implementation status of our recommendations, so that we don't run the risk of reopening audit through the back door. So we are dealing with implementation status of our recommendations as at 31st of March. I thank you, Chair.
Again, the tricky thing is that we adopted the report of the general in its entirety. So if the Auditor General said that trade and other payables were unsupported and long outstanding, we agree with the Auditor General that they are unsupported and long outstanding. So now we just want to hear from them, fine, they are unsupported, since then, are they supported? They are long outstanding, since then, have they been settled? So I just want to propose so that we get into the substance of the issues, because I've sat on this chair for quite some time, and sometimes I feel like with Samburu, we usually terminate on procedural and technicalities. Let's go to the numbers, because these are the numbers owed to suppliers, youth, women, and even staff whose SACCO contributions have not been remitted. I think we, honorable members, once they have read their written response, we are at liberty to direct specific questions to the governor, which he cannot deflect.
Chair, just in addition, we should add an rider, and it should go to all staff or people working with the governor, not only on Samburu and others, that should we feel as a committee that they need to take an oath, then they must take it.
Definitely.
So if they want to mislead the committee, they should be warned early enough that to the committee feel they are being misled, they must take an oath and be held accountable as individual officers of particular departments. I yield back, Chair.
Yeah, I believe Article 125 still exists. We can examine any person under oath. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, out of the total annual pending bills of Kenya shillings 431, 831, 736, as presented in our financial statement 2024-2025 financial statement, Kenya shillings 176, 378, 605, earlier found to be insufficiently supported, have since been conclusively backed up. Attached is Annexure 1A, is a schedule of questioned amount of 176, 378, 605, and embedded to it are copies of the supported documentation for each and every voucher. That is Annex 1A. Chair, out of the total 28,551,162, the county has already settled 10,563,773, while Kenya shillings 5,282,650.59 is currently awaiting approval by the Control of Budget. This is a highlighted in the requisition schedule under the amount of Kenya shillings 11,391,671. Attached as Annexure 1B are the requisite supporting documentation. In addition, the initial report of Kenya shillings 27,467,160 salary deduction payable to the third parties, Kenya shillings 10,563,778 has been settled, leaving a balance of Kenya shillings 16,903,793, out of which Kenya shilling 11,09,536 has been submitted and pending approval at the Office of the Control of Budget, attached as Annexure 1C. Is a schedule of initial outstanding amount of Kenya shillings 27,467,160 and the match that has since been settled and the balance schedule for settlement once the supplementary budget has been passed. Thank you, Chair.
Auditor General, we are presented with Annexures 1A, 1B, and 1C. Remember, as Senator Cherargei and Senator Wambua said, this is not the audit. This is a follow-up on implementation. What is your view on Annexures 1A? Let's start with 1A.
Thank you, Chair. On 1A, the management has submitted to us payment vouchers and supporting documentations submitted to our office, payment vouchers and their supporting documentations for payables amounting to the 176,378,605. However, we've not done a physical verification at the entity's premises to do additional audit tests on the entity's documentation and the verification of the goods or services that was supplied.
Now, Auditor, we need to be very straight up. You went for the audit, 176 million was not supported by, was not conclusively backed up at the time of audit. What makes you feel like it would be backed up now, if it was not backed up then?
Yes, thank you, Chair. At the time of audit, the supporting documents were not availed to our verification. Presently, the management has presented their supporting documentations. So the only remaining issue for us to adequately satisfy ourselves that they were backed up well is to visit the ground entity's premises and confirm, do additional tests on the documents that have been presented to us.
No, Auditor, we need to deal with this matter so that we set the principle on how we are going to run this meeting. Patrick?
Chairman, what the auditor is saying is that during the audit, these records were not available to the auditor. Now, when we have invited this entity to come before this committee, we were only given 7 days. This is the period within which we have been able to look at these records. The auditor needs to do the audit in the client's premises. That's where they do comprehensive audit tests. What the auditor is saying, he's not able to test these records within his premises because he needs to ask additional questions. He needs to talk to the people who prepared this documentation.
No, but why do you want to audit after the audit? Because now you should be auditing 2025, 2026.
Exactly, Chairman. So what the auditor is saying is unable really to confirm whether this documentation, for example, Chair, these are just listing of suppliers. But the auditor needs to look at the primary records and other records documented within the client's premises to be able to confirm whether these payments, payables, is a proper listing.
Senator Wabua?
Chair, you know, I'm hearing the auditors talking to us about documents, these documents. I don't know whether it's my file, but this is 1A, Chair. This is Annex 1A. It's this. This is what it is, right? Unless the other documents. And what I have as Annex 1A is just a computer printout of, you know, I can't even read what this is, but I see at the end of the day there's 176 million. Is this a justification for, is it supposed to purge that query?
Chairman, what you are saying, if you look at that listing, for example, you'll see an amount that is listed there. You want to ask the client to identify and tell you, how did this amount arise? Okay? If it was a supply that was done, you want to look at the records within the entity whether to see whether if goods were being procured, were they delivered?
Allow me, Chair, allow me on that one,
I think we need to put this question to the governor because the governor is, that's the reason why we needed the governor here. But
yes, Chair, allow me. You know how, Chair, that's why I asked the initial question. You see, what the auditors are telling us is that they have been presented, a document has been presented to them. And now they are supposed to go and ask the entity to provide further documents to justify the printout. Chair, are we not going back to pre-March 31st?
That is my concern. Governor, we need to put it to you. That amount cited is 41% of your total pending bills. The Auditor General, the implication is that 41% of your pending bills is fake because it was not supported. Is that the right position that the Senate should adopt?
Chair, let me just state this first, as for the record. When you go to this county, we had over 800 million pending bills. As of now, we've reduced it to about 103, but that's just for the record. But what I have is that there is this listing of all the items that constitutes 176 million. But we also have vouchers with the auditors. The Auditor General has all the vouchers. So there is really no need to go to the premises. We can go through the vouchers here and confirm every payment. They're here.
No, Governor, you see, we know your background, you have been in Parliament, and that's not how it works. Parliament does not do the audit. It's the Auditor General to do an audit, and when they come and report was that 41% of the pending bills were not supported, then it is for us to make that determination. We can't realistically go through vouchers for 176 million in this particular session. It is not practical. It is not possible. And the question to you as a Chief Executive Officer is, when you see this query, because I don't think it's the first time you're seeing this query, what is the action that you have taken to ensure that this matter is addressed, either administratively or legally? Now, these are the questions we say that the governor must respond, because as a CEO, you must tell us administratively what action have you taken to ensure that there's clarity on the 176, so that the Senate does not say that 41% of pending bills in Samburu is fake.
Yeah, I think I've said it. We have given evidence of all those payments through the vouchers and everything. So that is the much I can do, because if the auditors at the time of the audit did not get those vouchers, now they have them. So I think that is.
So if the auditor was not provided with the vouchers at the time of audit, don't you see a problem there administratively within your organization?
I see a problem administratively. And
is there any administrative action that you have taken?
Yeah, we've had executive meetings, and we've, and now I'm told we have a tracker now that tracks payments.
Yeah, because let's be, Governor, I said I want to have a very, very mature conversation, and I want us to hold it with the right temperament so that we find the solutions. Not everything Not in all these issues, the blame goes to the governor. You have come with a huge delegation here. There are people you are paying a salary every month to ensure that when the auditor comes, records are provided. If they don't provide it, then ultimately you are the one who bears responsibility. But you cannot just baby them. You cannot just sugarcoat things. If 41% of your pending bills cannot be justified, isn't there someone in your organization who maintains custody of those records? And that's a focus we must have, so that we whip everyone to play their role. A lot of officers hide behind the governor because they say, okay, the governor has been in parliament at a deal na wenzake. We are not going to accept that. If someone was supposed to take responsibility for custody of these records, we shall identify them, we shall name them, and the Public Audit Act gives us the power even to recommend that they are unfit to hold public office. That is power that is in statute. So I think that I want us to have that very candid, but also painful conversation, without glossing over issues, without running away from issues. I think that's the attitude that I wanted us to have. And we are not trying to fix the governor. We are just trying to find who should have been responsible for this. And if they slept on the job, we recommend certain administrative action needs to be done.
Chair.
Okay, let's hear.
Thank you, Chair, for that is, I'm exactly in your position, and I wish you'll be a governor one day. I've been complaining, and to these people, that if a document was available at the time of the audit, why didn't you give the auditors? And I've had various reasons. One, the reason that I would like to say here is that, and I want to speak to the auditors, some of my people would say they had given you these documents, and these documents are there. But some of the auditors will come up and say they are not there. What we are having here is issues of compliance and documentation. So, Chair, I have my CC here, and she has something to say about the track.
She's going to submit, she gave them to the auditor, she must provide evidence. Because I believe there's a tracker for everything that is submitted to the auditor.
Chair, before the CC goes, because 62(2) of Public Audit Act is very clear. I think because this is the first time we are looking at an issue of non-submission of documents during the time of audit, why don't you let the legal counsel go through that part so that it would inform us how we would move for the rest of the issues on non-submission of documents? Because I think it requires some justification. And so when the CC is responding, she should try and justify, so that for every issue of non-submission of documents, she would start by justification.
So that is the obligation of accounting officers when it comes to provision of records during audit. You have it? Or can you just read it out?
Section 62 of the Public Audit Act, a person shall not, without justification, that is 1B, without justification fail to provide information required under this Act, and C, without justification fail to provide information within reasonable time that is required under this Act. Then subsection 2, a person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 5 million shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years or to both.
So that's the legal basis. That's where we want to test whether an offence has been committed before we go back even to the numbers. Senator Lelegwe, you had a contribution before the CC?
Yes, Chair.
And the OIG.
Yeah. Chair, I wanted to ask the Governor, when I see Annexure 1A that is telling us to see on confirmation of these documents that were supplied to the auditor, we just have a schedule, just one-page schedule, which does not show us any voucher, any certificate. But when you see the types of works that constitute this 176 million, one part of it is construction of buildings. Proposed construction of Samburu County Referral Inpatient Block. I don't know how the county executive can fail to provide that document at the time of audit to the auditors. The second part, construction of civil works. I'm just giving one example. Proposed construction of Marala rental market at 3.4 million, construction of Lodungo Boda Boda shed, construction of Marala car wash at 3.9 million. I think all these documents are available with the county government at that time of audit. And I fail to understand why the county executive could not provide these documents at the time of audit. The third part is supply of goods, supply of tires, supply of camels. Unless they did not follow the procurement procedures, that's when they can fail to have the documents as asked by the auditor. But as a committee today, we are not provided with any evidence. The governor is mentioning about the vouchers to the auditor. The auditor can confirm to us whether the vouchers, the payment vouchers are available with them, because in this sitting of Senate today, we are not provided with any document. Chair, note that this is not a small amount. It is 176 million shillings. And the governor said about the pending bills before this current county government. But when you see the schedule of documents provided, there is only one payment that was done on 4th of January 2022. All others were done in 2023 to 2025. Meaning, all these pending bills, the 40% of these pending bills have occurred during the current administration of the county government. This is not a small amount. The governor needs to tell us where this 76 million, because if the documents were not available during the time of audit, how could the county government or the county officials construct these documents to come and place before us today and say we have accounted to that 176 million?
Thank you, Senator. Senator Chirarke.
Chair, mine will be three. I want to pick it from where my colleagues left. One, I don't believe, they say ignorance of the law is no excuse. The fact that the entity is not aware that under Public Audit Act is an offense for non-provision, then it points to competence and ability of the CCM and the team. So my question would be, would it be, Governor, your people need capacity building? Because I think your CC has served for some time, and this is not the first time that we are doing audit. So you should satisfy this committee that during exit, entry, management, even management letter, highlight some of these issues. So I find it strange that your team might not be aware, which I fail to buy, Chair. That will be number one on the issue of entry, exit, and management meeting on the aspect. Number three, I have seen the notes number 32, trade and other payables. Governor, over 94% of pending bills or trade and other payables is under your tenure. It is between 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, which is total of under 1 year. In fact, under 1 year is 321,723,502. Between 1 to 2 years is 63,132,027. And between 2 to 3 years, it's 18,421,047. Of total pending bill in Samburu, 94% was incurred under your tenure. So you should be able to justify us why this huge amount is yet to be settled. And I wish the governor would be noting down so that we don't need to come back. And then over 3 years, you should tell us why you have failed to offset 28,555,160. And I want to believe most of these pending bills are owed to the businessmen and women of Samburu. So therefore, if you don't pay them, it means you are killing their businesses. Of these 431,831,735, that will be my second question. Governor, finally, I have seen in the original certificate of OAG, this issue of statutory deductions is a problem in your county. And when you don't remit these statutory deductions, It is the money that belongs to the workers or to the people or the workers who work within your entity. So why was these statutory deductions not remitted to the SACCOs and other entities for more than 5 years? This is 27,467,566. Because I believe it is not remitted, it is misappropriated because it is something that belongs to the workers' chair. So I would really want to know why the violation of non-payment under the PMF Act of the statutory deductions. Finally, just an observation on 176,378,605. I thought, Governor, issues like contracts are easily available because by the fact that I'm doing a contract for example, in Samburu, that contract should be available. I wish it is something which is direct. Maybe even delivery notes and other aspects like raising of certificates for payment of money. That one you can say maybe the contractor and what and deliver. But on the issue of signed contracts, I want to believe this is a document that is available with the light department. If it is roads, if it is housing, it is something that should be available. So what is the justification of non-provision to justify this 176,378,605? Chair, I yield back. That would be
Thank you.
four questions.
I think you've asked all the questions relating to this matter. Can we get a response from the governor and his team?
Chair, first, I think we need to be clear. We have the vouchers here that account to 176 million. As to why they were not provided to the auditors at the time of the audit, we have the CC here. She has an answer as that they provided those documents. And there is something, a tracker or a schedule that shows that they provided. So let us deal with that. If the documents were provided, and the documents are here now to answer Senator Legwe, I'm told those documents are in those files. You can look at every single voucher to account for the 176 million.
No, I must make it clear, Governor, that we are not doing the audit today. The audit is done by the Auditor General. The Auditor General tells us that they've not had time to even scrutinize this. They provide us with an assurance. If they give us the assurance that what is here supports 176, we will not waste time on it. They have not given us that assurance. So it cannot be a matter that we exit that easily. We have read the law, and the law says any person without justification refuses to provide documents. Is there any justification for non-provision of those documents to the Auditor General? Because this cannot be the time when they're being provided. It's not here. CC?
Chair, we actually provided the documentation and we have a register of all the documentation. If you just allow, we can get you the register signed that they received the documents.
Now,
the same documents, we had shared around 2 folders showing the vouchers to amounting to that.
Auditor General?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I hereby confirm that on 2nd of June, that is last week, we received the listing and all the individual payment vouchers and supporting documentations.
Was it submitted on 2nd of June or before the audit closure?
We did before, during the audit, and even on the 2nd, we had the documentation.
No, leave alone the 2nd of June. 2nd of June is completely outside the timelines. We are dealing with actions that were expected during the constitutional timelines for audit.
Even before, because we maintain a register when we give documents, they out and in.
CC, we are soon going to put you under oath.
Okay.
We are soon going to put you under oath. Now, honorable members, this, I think we cannot arrive at a different conclusion that 41% of the debt in Samburu cannot be justified as we speak. And if the auditor, you feel that you need some time to review, it would be quite unprocedural because ideally, by this time, you should have already reviewed it. What assurance are you giving us on this 41%? Is it justified or is it fake bills?
Chairman, before the director comes in, please allow me to say that when we receive this documentation in the office, if you look at Annexure 1, for example, the one totaling to 176 million, as an auditor, I will ask myself, where is this annexure coming from? Because one, the document one is not certified, because the original is not certified. I do not know it comes from Samburu County. I will expect to be able to test this information if I go to the entity and run my tests, even go to the system and run a schedule of payables and see whether they'll be able to come up with such a record. Those are the tests that even Mweshmiwa was talking about.
Now, members, on the issue of, I will not take the submission of the CEC that they submitted those documents, because this is also a body with some constitutional obligations,
Yes.
and they subscribe to a code of professional conduct. I don't know whether the CEC subscribes to a code of professional conduct. Are you a member of ISPAC?
No, not, Chair.
Yeah, so in these matters, the word of the auditor would be, I think I would take it with greater certainty than your word, because they've got a professional obligation to say the truth and to provide an assurance. So let's not spend too much time on this back and forth of I gave or I didn't give. Let's come to the substantive things, because if people are owed money, they should be known. We might spend so much time on this and forget that there is something to do with SACCOs and statutory contributions that are in this query that affect staff. You know, those ones cannot be fake. Statutory remittances cannot be fake. But these other trade payables can be fake if there are no invoices. And indeed, Governor, this week, was it this week or last week, someone went to court and took the National Youth Service to court for non-payment of for services rendered. They argued that they had supplied metallic pipes for construction of beds at the NYS. That person lost the case. Why? Because the court challenged them to provide the original tender, the contract, the LSO. They went to court only with a delivery note and an invoice and a payment voucher. The Auditor General cannot certify these 176 in the absence of that entire chain of documentation. I believe we are communicating that if you give us files here, for example, I've seen the first person. The first person, you have a payment voucher. Members, I hope you've seen that. Being payment for construction of 30 ECD kitchens in Samburu County. In favor, you have a payment voucher in favor of Ndoto Star contractors. Then the next thing from Ndoto Star contractors is an invoice. Then that's the end. How can that be a legitimate bill? That matter was settled in the courts just this week or last week. That it cannot be a legitimate bill when you only have a payment voucher and an invoice. You must have the entire chain from tender all the way. So this, prima facie, does not address the concerns of the Auditor General. And my concern, Governor, is that you are treating your staff as sacred cows. They should have provided that information. You are not demanding it of them. You are giving them an opportunity to give excuses. They will sabotage you. At the end of the day, you are the one the police goes for, not your staff. So be firm. Do not have sacred cows. Ask these questions. We are asking these questions for your good as a governor of Samburu. But if you feel that they are wrong questions, then we shall leave you on your own and get sabotaged by your staff.
Chair.
Okay, proceed.
Chair, in support of what you're saying exactly, which I support 100%, when we come to this committee, when you are during the auditing season or sessions, we do something different because we go through these things. What documents were not provided at the time, we try to look at that they are provided now. But from our earlier conversation, this meeting is different. We are doing post-audit on implementation. And I think it helps a lot in support of what you said, if we agree with these auditors. And I want to agree with these auditors. If, for example, at the time of the audit, these documents were not provided, the executive is saying they provided, and the auditors said they didn't get it, they didn't receive. Would it help this meeting, because it's a meeting for implementation, if we allow the auditors to look at the vouchers provided now and even go back to Samburu, for example, and look at the work done by Ndoto Stars, for example, and confirm that Ndoto Stars, among the bills of 176 million, was actually paid as reported by the vouchers. So I want to support your idea 100%, but this is the only way we could do this so that we can be better next time. That we allow the auditors, I know it is post-audit, to come and confirm these things, confirm the vouchers, confirm the companies, confirm the physical, so that the vouchers we hold now that were not provided at the time, we can now sit with them as evidence that Samburu County did these works through these companies.
Audit must have closure. It cannot be on forever. Senator Ombwe.
Chair, I will only say two things. Governor, you know, I am still struggling with this Annex 1A. It's a loose leaf. So if it fell off the folder and somebody collected it out there, it could be anything. There's no ownership of it. There's nothing that shows it's a document from the county government of Samburu. It's just a piece of paper with some write-up. And the person who should be very annoyed with that, Governor, is not even us. It is you. No, I will tell you what you can do. I will tell you what you can do.
There is something called administrative action.
Exactly. You know, Governor, administrative action, Chair, allow me to teach today just for 2 minutes. Administrative action is not necessarily firing people. It's also, as Governor, appreciating that maybe the capacity in your county is wanting and taking responsible officers through some training. That's administrative action. But to say that there is nothing you can do and now, you know, as a leader in the House myself, when the basic intelligence of members is put to test, I feel bad and I must raise a finger and say, no, you cannot give this kind of document to us. So somebody, and you see at the end of the day what the chair is telling you, Governor. When the IG is sent to go and look for you, it is you they look for. They don't even know who the CEC finances or who the county secretary is. It is you. And when there is an allegation of misappropriation of funds in the county government of Samburu, it is you. It is your name, your face on record. Lastly, Chair, you know, Governor, you have said we can allow these people, we can allow the auditor to go back and do what they... You know, at the end of the day, what will happen is this. I don't think we envisage a situation where whatever documentation you provide at whatever time is useless. At the end of the day, the auditors will do things called, you know, prior year issues. You know, that will come there as a prior year issue. But this thing has been closed, Governor. And I believe that there was an exit meeting after the audit, which you must have sat in and realized that there were documents that were missing. And there was a time period within which you would have provided those documents. And I don't expect myself, Governor, that it is you who will go and pick vouchers and, you know, supporting documents and take to the OAG. No, I expect that there's somebody who is supposed to do that job. And that's the person that Chair is saying, let us find out who this person is, so that consequences then ensue. I thank you, Chair.
So maybe to allow us to make progress, Senator Cherargei, you had asked the 4 questions.
Yes,
Let's go through those 4 questions. So as to the 176, it is clear that even a cursory glance at the records before us is not satisfactory, just looking at Ndoto alone. We probably, as we make our recommendations, because we'll be doing very detailed recommendations, at that point, Auditor General, you'll advise us if whatever was tendered justified the 176. Then there was a question of the long outstanding debt of 28 million, which you submit, Governor, that so far you have paid, is it 30% of it? 35%. 35% of it, and you have provided Annexure 1B. Auditor General, have you looked at Annexure 1B? And are you able to give us an assurance?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We've gone through Annexure 1B, and we confirm that indeed The management has paid the 10.5 million.
So that leaves about some 65% of that very old debt.
Yes, Chair.
Which they are also saying that there's a... So have you also looked at the requisition schedule to confirm what the governor is saying?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. For the requisition, yes, we've seen the requisition, but we
Okay,
the submission was
your
that they are waiting for
query was why it had been long-standing, isn't it?
Yes, that is our question, Chair.
So what they are responding is that they at least paid 35% of it. Now let's go to the third bit, which is on statutory deductions. 27 million. The governor is saying that 10 million has since been settled, which is 30%. Why would statutory deductions remain unremitted? I want to understand why that is the case in Samburu. Because statutory deductions is SACCO, pension, loans, professional contributions, insurance, premiums from staff. If you pay staff their salaries on time, the statutory deductions from staff should also be remitted on time. Governor, why do we have a problem in Samburu?
It's a bit technical, so I will ask the CC, because they are on the payroll people, to respond for me.
Chair, on the issue of the statutory deduction, when we came in 2022, there was some outstanding pension not paid. So we did a bit of reconciliation of that amount, and that's why you're seeing that we are now paying. We are now reducing the amount after we did reconciliation with the bodies. On the issue of
Now, you are mixing things up. We are dealt with 10.5 million as settlement of the 28 million. Then the auditors brought in another figure of 27 million as salary arrears. So which is which? What are you explaining?
the 27 is still under the 28. It's still amount outstanding. The 28 is the total.
But if you wanted us to have that clarity,
yes,
in note 32, you would have disclosed them under employee payables.
Yes.
Isn't that where they're supposed to be?
Yes, it is.
And here employee payables is zero.
Maybe I can ask my CFO to answer that.
Chair, maybe I don't have that information that you have.
Are you the one who prepared the financial statements?
Is the director accounting?
Is he present?
Yes, he's present.
Yeah, tell us, because now it's emerging that there are employee payables of 27.4 million, but in your financial statements, not 32, employee payables is zero.
Chair, I'm not privy to that information at the moment.
What's your name, Mr.?
Joseph Lekalkuli.
Sorry?
Joseph.
Joseph who?
6711.
Just give us your full name and what you do in the county.
My name is Joseph Lekalkuli. I'm Director of Finance.
Are you the preparer of the financial statements?
Yes, we do it as a team.
But your signature and your ISPAC number is on the financial statement?
Yes, as the head
So you are therefore familiar with all the disclosures, including the notes supporting the financial statements?
Should.
Yes, so you reported that you had zero in terms of employee payables. In this report and in your response, you are indicating that you had 27 million as employee payables. What should we take? Your financial statements prepared by a finance expert, or a response prepared by the governor, who perhaps is not a finance expert?
I guess we should go with the financial statements.
Therefore, there was nothing due to employees. Why are we being told about 27 million here?
I need to revisit that.
Do you have the financial statements?
I do not have it here.
How do you go into a boxing ring without your gloves? Surely. What did you come for?
Chair, can you see the director's body language? He's smiling at you and we are discussing serious issues. I don't think this guy is serious. He better go under oath because he's answering and he knows, Governor, you know, if we want to know the heart and functionality of an entity is through financial statements, your CCM will tell you that. But you can see your gentleman who should be doing this job is taking it casually. Or is in office on other considerations.
We must debunk this myth that they'll hang the governor and that's the end of it.
Correct.
Yes, we'll hang the governor, but just like Jesus Christ also had one thug on the left and another thug on the right,
yes,
we shall also find thugs to hang alongside the governor.
Correct.
Now, this is extremely important, Governor, because we are going to refer to this Note 32. That disclosure has not been made. You are telling us there's 27 million for staff. An auditor, you probably should have queried, because also for us to understand the opening balances. I'm familiar with this not having opening balances. Was there a requirement for opening balances to be disclosed? Note 32?
Yes, Chairman.
They ought to have disclosed.
By Treasury that all entities must prepare opening financial statements to be able now to arrive at opening balances.
So how do we trust, Governor, or how do you trust that you owe 431 million? How do you as CEO get comfortable when your officers are not comfortable?
Chair, before I answer that, I think this is the first time we've had this kind of meeting after the audit. And I find this meeting very productive, even more than the audit itself when we are doing the audit today. So maybe you could, just on the side, you would think of having, apart from the audit meetings we come, we should also have this kind of meeting. Because, Chair, as you said, I'm not an accountant. But it's very hard for me to believe that when we pay our staff, that someone is not remitting the statutory deduction. But now it's coming out that we are not sure, because the accountants we have here are revealing to us that we paid, it's zero, while we have the auditor report revealing that the 27 million was not paid. I would ask kindly, Chair, that you allow us, because this is very important for me, very important, that you allow us to go and have this accountant and the auditors reconcile this issue. Do we have zero balance in terms of remittances, statutory deductions, or do we have 27? But I just want to...
I think refrain from giving directions. It's the chair will give directions. You can just make suggestions.
Chair.
Senator Lelegwe, Senator Wambua.
Chair, I think we need to be clear here, the auditors and the governor. These deductions were done at the point of salary payment for each employee. These deductions were made. When you see your response, you're saying that at the time of the next supplementary budget. My question is, where did this deduction, the single unit deduction you took from a staff, where did you store that, or where do you account, or where did you deposit that deduction, specific deduction? Because you are referring again to the supplementary budget. We're asking, where is this money that you've deducted from employee amounting to 27 million?
I hope the officer has now found his financial statements, because we will be writing to ISPAC that you are not fit to be in that position. Senator Wambua.
Chair, I'm actually increasingly doubting whether really a real audit took place in Samburu, or people just sat down and did whatever it is that they did. That gentleman, the director of Director of Finance, You know, I take great exception through your governor that you would even try to attempt to respond to questions of Ed. You know, I have actually seen, Chair, it is our staff that have given him a document that he should refer to.
The danger with that is one time that happened in Kiambu.
Yes.
And then the governor of Kiambu claimed those were our records and disowned us. So you need to be very careful, our clerks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you know, Governor, I honestly feel you. You know, I don't know myself what I would do in a situation where then I have this level of casualness in handling such sensitive issues. These, for heaven's sake and for crying out loud, these are deductions from people.
Including him.
Including yourself.
Yes.
This is money that, should form the basis of a lot of things for staff. At the end of the day, there are pensions, there are questions of pensions, there are questions of, retirement benefits. There are circle issues here. It's a very serious issue. It's not an issue that you just wake up and try to recollect. I'm not very sure about that. Chair, and I can't guide you, but I request that you guide this committee to arrive at a situation that this level of casual way of doing things in the county government of Samburu must be brought to an end. And I like what the governor is saying. Perhaps this is the first time that we're having a constructive engagement with the county government of Samburu. It is late, but at least we can arrest something, if not someone.
Yeah. Let's listen to the officer. What did you want to say?
Okay. Chair, thank you. First of all, if you look at trade payables, we have two.
First, the document that you're looking at.
We are looking at the financial reports for FY 24-25 as of June 2025.
Page?
Page 39.
The original certificate.
Yeah. I just want to confirm that the total pending bills was 431, as indicated there, broken down into two: trade payables and third-party payments. And if you look at the aging analysis down there, the 28 million, which is above 3 years and above, old and above, that is where the question falls now. The pending bills related to third-party payments, like SACCOs, KRA, and those payroll issues. So
what are you saying
I'm just saying
that is different from what is before us? Because what is before us, employee payables is 0. And you have just said that you've had 27 million on matters to do with employees. And having looked at this, those should be categorized as employee payables. Because if you talk of third-party payments, you can't put employee payables in the third-party payments.
Okay, according to me, employee payables relate to...
Do you have a standard separate from the one issued by the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board? Because
we use the same.
You are the 47th county we are dealing with, so we are not new. We are not strangers in Jerusalem. Number 2, opening balances. Could you show us where they are?
Opening balances for the year is an additional...
No, where are they? Where are the opening balances?
I did not indicate it here.
Were they supposed to have been indicated?
Yes.
So is your Note 32 a fair, accurate picture of the state of trade payables in Samburu County?
In terms of the summation of pending bills, it's accurate.
No. In terms of what you are required professionally to disclose.
Okay. Opening balances was omitted.
Is it material?
Opening balances, I would say the totals...
No, is it material, yes or no?
Yes.
So that's material non-disclosure. And you must take responsibility as a professional. And Governor, I don't think that in case of Samburu, we could be talking of lack of capacity in the general populace of Samburu. I mean, when I go to Kisumu, the manager of the central bank in Kisumu is a friend of mine from Samburu. My county commissioner in Samburu, in Kisumu, is a gentleman from Samburu. So we can't say that that is the sharpest tool you have. So I think let's take note of the serious professional negligence that we have observed here, the lack of disclosure, lack of supporting documentation, and therefore, I think on this matter, we cannot come to a conclusion that this is the true state of pending bills in Samburu, and we can make appropriate recommendations.
Yeah, so Chair, you need to guide, because he has gone on record to say that he admits that there is material non-disclosure on note 32. I think just on that score alone, Chair, I believe that there are pronouncements this committee should be able to make. I mean, there's an admission on record.
Senator,
and also, Chair, because then the auditors would look at the veracity of these documents, what would still be outstanding is the requirement to justify why the documents are not given in good time, so that because you don't have prosecutorial powers, would have to give the files to ESCC to do investigation. Why can't you give opportunity to the officers to really give justification why those documents are not there? Is it somebody was not there in the county? Maybe they were fired, you know, and you brought in somebody new. Somebody was sick. The documents were carried away by water, and they had to reconstruct them, so that we just get that narration for the sake of the answer.
Chair, I think maybe since there is admission of liability, we should since there is admission of liability by director of accounting or finance, and he is a member of profession like some of us are, then the consequences must follow. And maybe, Governor, maybe just a basic question, because I've seen how your team answers questions. Maybe can I ask a basic question, Governor, because it looks like everybody is casual among your staff. Answer it or you don't answer. You saw director, the CCM taking back and forth. Workers and staff intimidating you, Governor, or they don't respect you, or they don't follow your orders. Is there disrespect? Because when a staff which you have entrusted with responsibility don't take the work seriously when they are before Parliament, maybe they disrespect you and you don't know it, because if they don't feel an obligation, you know, this should be a very serious matter that they, even in Japan, when you are speaking before your boss and you fail, you start crying.
In Japan, they commit suicide. But honourable members, let's get back to this so that we can make some progress.
Yeah, because we cannot make progress when you have members of staff who are answering questions casually. So my concern, Governor, do they disrespect you? They don't follow your orders, because it looks like you are the victim of poor performance of your staff. Because from the question 1, Chair, to now, we have been struggling to get headway, especially from the members of staff that is working with the government. But at face value, Governor, you look like a lion. So is there something?
Now, members, let's come back to the numbers, because we have demonstrated that there is a problem. And the Governor has also owned up that this session helps him to see things the way they are. But the point we cannot run away from, and members allow me, let's just prosecute this. The point we cannot run away from is that the Auditor General says that for 5 years, you have collected SACCO contributions of 27 million from your staff, which has not been settled. And today, you have come and told us that out of the 27 million, you have paid 10 million. Now, SACCO contributions are very personal, very painful. It could be contributions to share capital, it could be repayment of loans. Even if, Governor, you came and found this as a problem in Samburu, I think from a humane perspective, this is one thing that you must direct, must be resolved with immediate effect. You would rather pend the payment of someone who's built a road, but not the contribution of an employee, a contribution that has already been deducted. The control of budget has already approved that contribution. I think this we cannot run away from, Governor, because this is about being humane and being responsive to your staff. I would want to hear your views on that, or the action you are taking. You owe them 27 million, only 10 million has been remitted, leaving a balance of 17 million.
Sure, thank you so much. Just allow me to say something little on what Senator Interrogate raised here. One thing that is very clear about my staff is that they are highly educated. They are no different from any staff in this country. These people sitting here, they were recruited by the Public Service of Samburu, and they have degrees from universities of Nairobi, universities of everywhere that are in Kenya. They also have that CPAC thing that I have never attempted. So they are, as far as I know, that is the best of accountants you can get. And I remember one time in KICC, you raised an issue that you will forward their CPAC numbers to the bodies so they can be, yes, so they can be vanished. I don't know how those bodies work. And you actually mentioned their names, and they are sitting here. The same people that you forwarded in KICC, they are not vanished. I actually asked one yesterday, not the other day. I asked one of them here, I don't mention. I thought Senator Kajwang, in my first year as a governor, forwarded your name to CPAC.
I think, Governor, for guidance, Senator Kajwang is not the governor of Samburu. You are the CEO of Samburu. We can only make recommendations. It is for you to take administrative action on your staff. In fact, even ISPAC cannot sack your staff. No other body can. It's your county public service board.
Not the sacking, Senator.
And you as a governor.
I thought when you forwarded, because you're the one who pronounced that you are forwarding this person and this person, I thought there will not be accountants.
It does not take away your responsibility as chief
I'm not saying
executive
that,
officer.
but I think they should not have been accountants anymore. The point I'm trying to make is that we have highly qualified staff. There is no question about that. They have everything accounting.
I think let's look at that. Could you, Governor, just to guide you to come to the circle?
To the numbers.
Come to the circle. Yeah.
The reason why I was asking that we go back, I said on record, I find this meeting more productive than what I thought, because we are looking at things post-audit and how to correct them. And I think that's what we all want for our people. So, sitting here, and I said I'm not an accountant, one record is saying that we have 0 deductions, if I understood very well. We have 0 balances. There's another conflicting that is saying we have about 16 because 10 is paid. But it is also in the record that 5 million is currently sitting at the control of budget to pay the remaining 16 million. So that will leave us with about 11. Senator, in all honesty, in my opinion, I want to agree with you 100%. This is not something that should be staying in our books. If it is true that we have 0 balance, then I'm happy, as recorded in that document. If we still have a pending 11 million, I want to give you the assurance that that's one thing that I will not want to see again. As you said, we'll go back and pay that money. As to why it has remained unpaid, if it is true, because now I have conflicting records. One is saying we have 0. The other one is saying we have 11. If you take away the 5 million, then we'll pay. Senator, take that assurance from me.
Now, we will make appropriate recommendations, but I must express the concern of this committee around your bookkeeping practices, the accuracy of your records, your non-cooperation with the Office of the Auditor General, and therefore, on the face of it, it is our view that this amount of money listed as trade payables is not justifiable because the Auditor General has not given us that assurance, but we shall go to the law and propose appropriate consequences. Senator Sifuna, you could go on record.
Thank you, Chair, Governor, and the team from Samburu. My name is Edwin Sifuna, Senator Nairobi. I'm a member of this committee. Chair, apologies that I came late, but it's good to see my friend, Governor of Samburu in Nairobi. Karibu Nairobi.
But, Chair.
Why do you have to respond to a welcome?
No, I want also to welcome him because, Chair, apart from being a governor, and apart from Senator Sifuna being a senator, and apart from my good friend being a senator, we are human beings. We are Kenyans. We will be in this country for the rest of our lives.
I don't know where you're heading to, but I said at the beginning of this meeting, I made it clear that we are not going to introduce extraneous issues.
I have done some mistakes, and I'm remorseful of the mistakes that I've done. But I think Sifuna and my good friend Senator also did some mistakes. And so that we can always be friends here in this committee and continue, I want to tell you my story on that material date. Without, just so that we can remain friends.
Governor,
please allow me.
Order.
Say, let us reconfine.
Order, Senator Charad, order, Governor.
No,
Governor,
out of what I'm saying, you said we confine our matters.
we have had many steps of discussions and conversations, including conversations between the Council of Governors and the leadership of the Senate, where the two members sit is the Deputy Whip of Minority, is the Deputy Leader of Minority. I don't want us in this public space to start narrating all the events that have happened, because it's going to invite questions, interjections, and we might be derailed. And that's why I said at the beginning, let's stick to the numbers. I said at the beginning, when we gave orders to the Inspector General of Police, we wanted you to either come or be produced to do what we are doing. So let's do what we are doing. And finally, we are all leaders in this country, and it would be best if we were friends, but we don't have to be friends. We just need to love the people that we serve. So, Governor, let's go back to the numbers. Let's go back to the numbers. Let's go to deposits and
Chair, as we go back to those numbers, and really we should just go back to those numbers. Governor, we are very focused people on the things that we do. Nothing personal, absolutely nothing personal. And because we agreed from the beginning that we will not bring those issues here, let me pray that we don't. If there is need for yourself, the governor of Nairobi, who has graciously welcomed you to the city, and myself, to have a conversation around those issues that you think we should have, I have no problem with that. I can actually even buy a cup of tea as we talk about whatever it is that needs to be done. But for now, let's stick to the numbers.
I find it better if you do it in, this thing happened in the full view
what we say is
of the Kenyan people and all cameras. I have nothing wrong. I have nothing against you. I am not bitter. But I want to tell a story of that day so we can all feel who was wrong.
There are always different sides to a story, your side, my side, and the truth. So,
if the governor will tell us a story about that day, he should tell us why he organized demonstrations against the Senate in Samburu.
Order, Senator.
So if you want to reopen, allow us to.
Those are the extraneous issues that I don't want. Because you see, we wouldn't have found out the fraud in pending bills.
Yes.
If we started with extraneous issues.
Let us confine ourselves to the matters.
Just 1 minute.
Senator,
I wanted to make a suggestion. Governor, you and I are national leaders. If your fear is that our tea will not receive national coverage, I can assure you, we can invite the media and they will come there. But what we want to focus on here now, or you can come with me to Thika on Sunday, the whole media will be there. But the point that I was making is, I agree with the chair, let's focus on those issues that the people of Samburu want. Senator Enoch Wambua happens to be a bishop. You can trust him. He can convene us for tea. The media are our friends. They will all come there. Then we tell the story of that day, because I also have things to say. But not here.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you're here purges the contempt. Let's go on and look at deposits and retentions. Auditor General.
Thank you, Chair. The question is on refundable deposits and prepayments.
Is it your finding?
Okay. The statement of financial position and note 33 of the financial statements reflect refundable deposits and prepayments balance of Kenya shillings 94,726,058 relating to the Samburu County deposit account. However, review of the bank reconciliation statements revealed that receipts in the cash book amounting to Kenya shillings 82,190,366 dated between June 2024 and May 2017 had not been deposited to the deposits accounts as they did not reflect in the bank statement. Further, the county executive had borrowed deposit and retention funds totaling Kenya shillings 75,310,761 over the years, which had not been refunded or deposited to the deposits and retentions account. The borrowings were not supported by evidence of approval by the county assembly, utilization details, and the specific budget lines funded, or reasons for the continued non-refund of the monies. In the circumstances, the accuracy and completeness of the refundable deposits and prepayments balance of 94,726,058 could not be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, you may respond.
To my CC respond on my behalf on that.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the amount in question relates to a total Kenya shillings of 94,726,058 directly borrowed from the deposit account. The withdrawal had been made to cater for provisions of essential public goods and services at such times when the county faced cash flow challenges. The county government commits to make the refund in the next financial year. Attached is Annexure 2 is a schedule of the current status of the amount receivable.
Auditor General.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The issue as it is still outstanding because the refunds have not been done for the monies that have been borrowed.
Governor, if you were to go with your response, what is the legal basis for borrowing 94 million from the deposit account and not refunding it? What's the legal, what does the law require you, Governor? What does the law require of you? Because deposits and retentions are monies owed to suppliers for work done pending the lapse of the defect liability. Is that the right interpretation for the accountants? These are money retained from contractors. So when you retain it and then you borrow it, you are stealing from contractors. And in any case, if there is a borrowing from that account, this is like the situation we found in Vihiga, where they took money from the deposits account, gave it to the county assembly for a housewarming, but there was some correspondence. There was some letters justifying that decision. So that's why I'm asking, on what basis was 94 million due to contractors diverted for other purposes? Let's start from there. Is there any justification in our records before we call it theft of 94 million?
I think it's borrowing, Chair.
Well, it's a diversion. So there's a procedure in law to justify that. Any evidence that that procedure was adhered to?
I want to make it clear, Senator, that we are allowed to borrow from accounts.
Yes, there is a procedure.
So that is within the law.
And that procedure is documented.
That is recorded.
Yes. Is there a record of compliance with that procedure?
I want to allow me to ask my accountant to respond to this. Because one thing that I know...
He does not need to explain to us the procedure. He just needs to give us evidence of compliance.
I also want to say that part of this 94 was way before I became the governor. Part of it is when I'm the governor. So you
have continued the bad habit of the past.
Borrowing is allowed. It's not a bad habit.
There is a procedure. There is a procedure. So can you give us evidence of compliance with that procedure?
As the officer prepares to respond, we just want him to be straight to the point, because the queries from the Auditor General want you to show evidence of approval by the County Assembly. Whether it is there or not, we just move very quickly. And then your response, Governor, you are just saying it was meant to cater for provision of essential public goods and services. And you will see the auditor is saying that there was no evidence of the specific budget lines funded or the reasons of the continued non-refund of the money. So those three things, just tell us, is there evidence of approval of the County Assembly, the specific budget lines that were funded, and then lastly, why that money has not been refunded years down the line.
Yeah, you have the floor. Please be precise.
Thanks, Chair. First of all, the 94 million is a total of the retention funds that have been borrowed by the executive over time, over a period of since 2017 to date. We keep the records. Number two, there have been no approval. We know that we're supposed to go through the Assembly for approval of such borrowings, but we have never done that.
Okay, so guilty as charged. Out of the 94 million, how much has been borrowed in the last 1 or 2 years? Because it's easy to say it was done in the past, but maybe in the past it was 1 million and in your time it was 93 million.
Okay, as per my financials, that is on page 39, and 1 year is 50 million. 204, 811,000.
So you borrowed just in that financial year 50 million from deposit account?
Yes.
Without following the procedure prescribed in law?
Don't know.
No, I mean, there's no one else who assist you. You just said it earlier, that there's no evidence of approvals. You never did that.
It is true that we don't have evidence in approval from County Assembly.
Then that is theft.
What happens when the defect liability period ends and the contractors are supposed to be paid? What happens?
Luckily for the deposit account, it is always liquid. There's always, because we are in operations, we pay new suppliers who are deducted new.
No, that's a Juakali way of doing things. National Treasury.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable members, the situation that is being painted here is, a very serious situation that demonstrates financial indiscipline, whereby money belonging to third parties are being utilized to finance the services of the government of Samburu. And this one now is eroding the public trust because they were supposed to have that money. They owned it so that when the owner of the money comes for the money, that it should not be given any excuses. As the Honorable Senator has asked, when the defect liability period is over, and that contractor or the owner will come asking for the money, and you have actually put before this committee that even some are for as long as 2017, the defect liability most likely has already elapsed, and you have not paid that money. It shows a serious lack of financial discipline in that county. And you may finally not be able to pay that money when the rightful owners will come for that money. Thank you.
Governor, if there is a procedure defined in law, and that procedure gives responsibility to certain people within your organization, why would you come here and listen to the excuses that we are being given? Because initially, the auditor queried 75 million. In your response, you have clarified that it is not even 75, it is 94 million borrowed over the years. Over the years, only 2.8 million was borrowed before your time. Only 3%. The remaining 97% has been raiding the deposits account during your tenure as governor. The financial statements, there cannot be a different account. I'm looking at note 33, which the officer has referred to, and conjoining it with your response. In your response, you have said, Chair, the amount in question relates to a total of 94.7 million directly borrowed from the deposit account. And a breakdown of that 94 million indicates that only 2.8 million was borrowed 3 years ago. The remaining 92 million was borrowed during your tenure. So this is not a matter where we start passing the buck. Governor, 92 million has been raided from the retention account during your tenure as governor without following the provisions of the law.
Sure, I give you the information that I'm given by the officers in the finance department. According to them, how much was borrowed this time, 50, or the other one, 44. That's what they're telling me.
The information is here. Fortunately, we don't have to fish for it. It's here. And it's been aged very nicely.
I'll let them clarify that.
Yeah, so perhaps
this is
so
what
that
I want to say.
So perhaps so that we follow what you want to say, let them refer us to a document, because the chairman is referring to the financial statements of Samburu County for the year 2024-2025. That's where the page we are at, Governor. So if there's a different document to aid the conversation, let them also point it to us.
I will let them look for that document. But this is what I want to say, and they must look for that document. Chair, if the law, and I'm not a lawyer also, I said I was not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer also. If the law prescribes that borrowing is allowed, number one, so there's nothing illegal about that. If the law also prescribes that borrowing has to go through the county assembly, and it didn't went through the county assembly, somebody is culpable. And that one does not require me as a governor. We have everybody sitting here, including ACC. If something was done wrong in that direction, I think I can do administrative action, but something else can also be done. On the borrowing issue, I want to make it clear. It's on record, it will be paid. That cannot be theft. If somebody wants to steal, he cannot record. So if it's recorded, I want to assure you that we will pay the deposit account as we borrow. And that one.
But Governor, if you go back to the English definition of theft, it is depriving somebody of their benefit. You are depriving contractors of their benefit. That is theft. Reallocation of budgets without approval, due process is theft. If President William Ruto was today reallocate money meant for agriculture to State House operations, Sifuna will call it theft. And that is what we have here.
And Chair, Governor, these things only come out after the Office of the Auditor General has produced its report. You are saying that if it is recorded, it means it cannot be stolen. What if the Office of the Auditor General did not pick this thing and the Senate did not cover it?
I also want to give us some little credit, because they only recorded 75 million. We are reporting 94. So we are better than them.
No, you're making it worse. That the theft is bigger.
In the reporting aspect, not in the magnitude. I'm answering Senator Sifuna's question that we are not hiding anything. We actually even telling the auditors.
No. As a chair, let me tell you, it does not give us comfort. It gives us great discomfort. Let's allow Senator Izena to go on record, then Senator Chirarge can ask his question.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone, Your Excellency and team. I'm Senator Izena Lemalitian from Samburu County and a friend of the committee. Thank you.
You're welcome, Senator Chirarge.
Chair, just I've heard Governor saying that much of the money is staff, but looking at the note number 33 on refundable deposit and payment, between 1 to 3 years, the governor, under the borrowing that you did, is over 94%. Out of 94,726,058, only 2,841,788 was, let's assume, done 3 years before. So, Governor, you need to ensure, or the people who did the reporting through financial statement, that it is not correct. The only time that was over 3 years when you are not in office was 2.8 million. But over 94% of 94 million was done under your tenure. So that will be my question number one. Question number two, which is simple, who authorized this borrowing? If you answer that, the matter rests there. Who authorized? We want to see.
I think for the benefit of time, those two questions have been asked. Who authorized? They have admitted there was no authorization, unless you have made up another story. And if your story changes, mtakula kiapo. They have already said there was no approval. I mean, this is black and white.
And Chair, that is theft.
Yeah, that is what it is.
But on the matter of State House, no one wants to reallocate money to State House from agriculture. I wondered, you know, Sifuna might go and talk about it in Thika on Sunday. So you need to be careful. You can pick it from the committee.
Oh, okay, let's leave that. But I was just using that to demonstrate how obscene it would sound if the national government would reallocate money meant for fertilizer to arbitrarily but to do what? To empowerment. Because you have been in parliament and you know what the role of supplementary is. You cannot be doing things beyond what the law prescribes. Governor, for me, there's one thing that I'm happy about, that today we are agreeing that we need to look at the substantive matters. The only part that I'm still worried about is that you're not expressing outrage at the offenses being committed by your officers. You are not outraged. We want other people to fix the problem, EFCC to fix the problem, ISPAC to fix the problem. Ultimately, as a CEO, you must take responsibility. Now, the facts have been established. They are borrowing from deposits without approval. We shall call it theft, reallocation, whatever it is. There are consequences in law. Members, is there any other matter that you want to raise on this beyond what has been established? Perhaps, Governor, I think it's important that we get a commitment from you on what strategy, now that the law has been breached, but that money still must be paid because contractors will come. What is your plan to repay that money back to the deposits account so that contractors can get their pay when the liability period lapses? What is the plan?
From my understanding, we've already budgeted some of it, but Senator, I think the accountant said something about our liquidity in terms of the deposits account. As a county, we are allowed to borrow through the law. We have not had a problem in the deposits account. But I want to give you an assurance that even with that liquidity in the deposit account, now that we owe the deposit account this much, I'll make sure that some is budgeted this year and some will be budgeted in the next year. It is very hard for a county like Samburu to take out 94 million in 1 year. That's our entire bursary program. So since you've already borrowed and borrowing is allowed, we will pay some this year, some next year, and I want to ask my officers to note that, so that we go back to zero, then we start borrowing maybe again, because it's allowed.
No, that cannot, Governor, we cannot accept that as a committee. We cannot advise you to do that. If you are borrowing, it must go through the procedures prescribed in law, but those procedures must mean the assembly must be involved. But there is a specific reason why deposits and retentions account is established. It is to ring-fence the resources. You cannot tell us that you'll continue doing the bad habits because there's a window that is available to you. That cannot be the advice from the Senate. Finally, Senator.
Chair, finally, Governor, when you have referred us to Annexure 2, my expectation would be that Annexure 2, because I've heard you making reference to budget, do you have any extract of budget so that this committee can satisfy itself that you have actually budgeted to refund this money? I was expecting something like, what do they call that thing with the pending bills?
Payment plan?
Payment plan or schedule. Like, you should be able to satisfy us that you will be clearing this amount in the next...
On the budgeting, our budget at the moment is still going through public participation, so it's not a budget. It will go to the Assembly.
There is no...
Can I finish? Even in the draft budget of today, we have 30 million budgeted to pay this.
So you have an extract of any of that? Because
that
we are
draft budget.
Committee of Records. An extract.
Will it be unofficial to place something that's still going through public
So you just want us to take your word, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, not just my word. We'll pass a budget at the end of this month. I can send you the real budget because now we have just have a draft budget with 32 million to pay this part of this loan.
I think that's mitigation. Let's deal with the legality. That is where we shall give very strong recommendations on the matter. But I think this practice must stop, and how I wish the Assembly was here so that they can understand that the executive is usurping their role in budgeting and reallocation of budgets. Now, looking at the time, we will skip a few of the other issues and go straight to the query on medical insurance. If there will be substantive issues that we'll not be able to deal with today, I think the mood of this meeting indicates that we might need to have another sitting, because we can clearly see that there was some lack of coordination and preparation on the part of the entity. Finance officers coming to the Senate without financial statements, I think that tells a story of unpreparedness. Auditor General?
Maybe before you go to that one, I think it should really be clear what we expect, and I think the governor needs to give us his ears, because he's saying that he will borrow because it is allowed. Borrowing is allowed from different votes, but I think borrowing is allowed, Governor, but I think you should regularize in a supplementary budget within the same financial year, not for regularizing in other financial years. So if you borrow, make sure that you regularize through a supplementary budget in the same financial year.
Yeah, I think that has been said. We have agreed that everything must be done in accordance with the law, and the governor has no other option but to comply with the law. It is an offense under the Act, it is an offense under regulations, and we shall also be recommending action to be taken in line with the offenses defined in the Act. So let's not reopen it, because we have established the facts, we have established there was an illegality. The governor has tried to explain the mitigation, but we will pronounce ourselves on the illegality. Medical insurance, Auditor General, please read your findings.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Medical insurance. The statement of financial performance and note 10 to the financial statements reflect use of goods and services totaling Kenya shillings 1,782,103,252, which includes insurance cost of Kenya shillings 23,292,664, meant for various insurance covers. Further, Note 30A to the financial statements reflects prepayments on medical insurance of Kenya shillings 137,771,033. However, the medical insurance contracts cover payments for the previous financial year, the details of the persons covered under the scheme, details of payments made to Social Health Authority in respect of medical cover were not provided for audit review. In the circumstances, the accuracy and completeness of Kenya shillings 23,292,664 on insurance could not be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, you may respond.
Can you respond?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I wish to clarify the two medical insurance costs reported in the financial year is as follows. Kenya shillings 137,771,033 relates to annual staff medical cover with Scotland Insurance Brokers as provided in Annexure 7 is the insurance contract for staff medical scheme with Scotland Brokers and payroll by product to support payment made to SHA.
So your Auditor General, 137 million, does that relate to SHA?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The 137 million is not relating to SHA. It is relating to the Scoreline Insurance Brokers, payment done to the Scoreline Insurance Brokers. The agreement has been submitted to us. It was signed on 24th of June 2025, while the one that has not been submitted to us is the one on Kenya shillings 23,292,664. Thank you, Chair.
Now, let's be clear, because your finding is confusing. Scoreline is a broker, and who's the underwriter? Who's the underwriter on that medical scheme? It's your question, Governor.
Britam are the insurers.
It is Britam.
Yes.
So what's the reference to SHA here? How does SHA come in here, in this query?
They were querying the 23 million. They wanted us to show the byproduct that amounts to 23.
So Auditor General, you agree that 137 is a commercial medical insurance cover underwritten by Britam and brokered by this Scoreline?
Yes, Chair, that's true. We've confirmed.
Now, do you have the details that you asked for? Contracts, cover payments, details of persons covered, details of payments, etc. for that cover?
Yes, Chair. For the comprehensive staff cover, in their contract agreement talks about all the staff of the County Executive of Samburu, but we don't have the listing.
Do we have it here as evidence that Scoreline provided some services to your staff?
We have the agreement here showing that there's
But medical insurance, you provide a policy document. That's
there is.
Is it here?
It is in Annexure 7.
Auditor General, have you looked at Annexure 7? Because you can't have a policy document without the details of persons covered and the details of the limits.
Yes, Chair. What we have is the extract of the contract agreement for the provision of medical insurance cover by the broker. So what we don't have only is the listing of all the staff. But when you read through the
Auditor General, yes. 137 million has been spent by Samburu. Can you give us assurance that 137 million was actual cover to employees of Samburu, or it was air? I think that's what we need to deal with.
You know, Chair, Auditor, you've also confused us. You said you have the contract that was signed in June 25. You are looking for previous year. That's what you said?
Yes, Chair. Our question was, if this contract was signed in June 2025, how were the staff covered in that
the previous year?
Yes.
And Chair, I've looked at that Annexure 7. It's this cannot be the full document, Honorable Governor. This is 7 pages. I've seen contracts for Mandazi that are longer than this.
I think, thank you, Chair, through the Chair. I think the question was the 23 by product. The 137 was to provide evidence that actually there was a contract between us and the insurer. So now the question, I think, was on the 23 million.
So for 137 million,
yes.
How many people are you covering?
3,400 staff.
Is it there in the contract or whatever you have attached?
I mean,
this is why we'll put you on oath, because you are providing very material information that is not in the records before us.
Yeah, allow us to provide the byproduct for 137. It's just that it was not the audit.
That was the auditor's
The
question.
query was not 137, Chair. It was the 23 for SHA.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. When I look at this question, there are two numbers queried, 137 and there's 23. We must get assurance that those numbers relate to actual service or an actual medical cover that went to the staff. Because the other question would be, you have Britam, you have Scoreline. What is the role of Scoreline in that? To earn a commission? Or what service is it that they offer that Britam cannot offer directly?
I think it was how it was tendered. They just won the brokerage and Britam are the underwriters.
And so what is the commission rate on this?
We don't pay the commission ourselves. We don't.
No, it is in the contract. It must be in the contract.
Maybe between Britam and Scoreline.
Yes, that commission usually comes back to employees of the county.
Not that we are, it's not in our agreement.
So can we see the policy document? Because the policy document will capture the premium, will capture the commission paid, and everything, including the number of employees that are covered for the 137.
Okay, if you allow us, because all we have is the contract, we just read the as per the question, but if you allow us, we can provide.
Chair.
Senator Maruma.
Chair, my question would be to the auditor, because if I look at the question you're asking, you're saying, however, the medical insurance contracts cover payments for the previous financial year, the details of the persons covered under the scheme, details of payments made to SHA in respect to medical cover not provided for review. Why are you requesting for the previous year's documents, not for this year under review? Were the ones for this year under review provided, and you're looking for the other ones? Is it for comparison, or why are you asking for them?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The payment done to Scoreline was a prepayment of medical insurance cost. So the question on the previous financial year was on how the staff were covered in the previous financial year, if this is a prepayment to the upcoming year.
Now, again, to understand this, so you've got Scoreline and Britam providing comprehensive medical, then you still have 23 million paid to SHA. What's the difference between the two covers, assuming they are for the same financial year?
Okay, for SHA, we usually pay as a statutory deduction, and it was not captured as the insurance, so we had captured it as a statutory deduction. So we needed to provide the biodata for amounting to the 23 that was catered for and the contract that was needed at that particular time.
Has that been provided?
Yes, at Annex.
Auditor General?
What has been provided is the pie products for SHA, and also...
How many employees are covered under SHA?
For SHA, what was let me confirm in the annexures.
Governor, how many employees are covered under SHA now that you're saying you've provided the details? Because you couldn't tell us how many are covered under Britam. This one for SHA, perhaps you might have an answer.
I thought she said 3,000 are covered under Britam.
No, she requested for time to confirm. Under SHA, how many are covered?
Chair, when we get these audit queries, I want some clarification, because we narrow down to what is being queried, so we can respond here.
You see, Governor, just to guide you, if the requested documentation was provided, it would have been very easy to establish how many are covered, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking.
Yes. But I'm just saying, from my own reading of this query from the auditors, and I want the auditors to listen to me, what they are querying is the 23 million from SHA, nothing else, unless I...
No, Governor, we are on SHA. We are on 23 million, and that's why I'm asking how many employees are covered, because they're using terms like byproducts. So those byproducts, where is that evidence? Remember, we have come from a query where statutory deductions are not being remitted. So we just want to know, this 23 million, is it for everyone? Are they the contributions for all the staff, or there are some that were withheld sitting in the pending bills register?
It's the total contribution for all staff, and total staff are 3,400.
So this 23 is for 3,400?
Yeah.
Any schedule, any document in our possession or the Auditor General's possession to confirm that?
And maybe the question is, would the payroll by product suffice to answer the question for the 23 million? The payroll by product that the county government is saying has provided in Annex 7. Would it suffice to answer that question?
Governor? Maybe from the auditor first. Auditor, you have interacted with the records. Can you help us, because we want to move fast on this, can you help us to understand whether 23 million is what was deducted from staff for SHA, and whether it was paid, and all staff of Samburu are covered under SHA, and their contributions are accurate, up to date?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We've interrogated our records. I hereby submit that the insurance cost details for the Kenya shillings 23 million have not been provided for a review, for a review.
Now, you see, that's why we are now fishing or walking, in the dark. If it was provided to the auditor, these questions would have been answered. I would not be asking you how many people. I would not be asking whether the deductions are timely. I think this is a third issue that we are getting a bit concerned about the laissez-faire responses. Senator Ezeno?
Yes, Chair. I don't know. I think something is not clear about the Auditor General's statement, because in this document, I think on the same document that we have been reading, I don't know which document that is, on the medical insurance, he has indicated there, it is indicated that, however, the medical insurance contracts cover payments for the previous financial year. The details of the persons covered under the scheme, details of payments made to SHA in respect to medical cover were not provided for the audit of review. Can you specify specifically among the three which one is not provided? Is it the list from the previous or the current?
Auditor General?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We had queried two figures. The first one is 23,292,664, whereby details have not been, the specific details has not been provided to us. The second figure was on the 137,771,033. The contract agreement has been provided to us. However, the listing of the staff is the one that has not been provided to us. Then thirdly, we had also asked about details of person, that is now on the details of the persons covered under the scheme. The third one is on details, the details of payments made to SHA, that is relating to the 23 million shillings. The details have not been, is the one that we are awaiting from the management. So on the issue of the previous, the cover payments for the previous financial year, is we wanted an assurance or satisfaction that staff of the county executive were covered in the previous year, because this is a prepayment, presumably for the next financial year.
So I'm asking you, Auditor.
Yes.
This payroll provided, the payroll by product, would it be adequate to answer for part of the documentation that you require to show that that money was paid, the 23 million was paid?
Chairman, we don't seem to have that.
Yes, Patrick, I think let's move very fast because at 2:30 we must go to the House.
Thank you, Chairman.
Records are either there or not.
Yes.
If they are not there, we ask them to provide them. If they are there and they are not adequate, we pronounce ourselves.
Chairman, if you look at Annex 7, except the contract extract that has been given, that payroll by product is what we also don't have. So we are not able to comment on that.
Governor, you must take administrative action internally, because we should not waste time on this. Insurance, if you have covered your employees and there are 3,200, for example, it should be very easy to provide a listing that these are my employees under the Britam cover, these are my employees under SHA. Why would it be a matter that leads to contestation at the Senate? These are records that should be sitting with procurement. These are records that should be sitting with finance. I think we are misusing the time of the Senate, and we will not allow that. Let's go to, I think let's move on, because this matter, we will deliberate on it and give appropriate recommendations. I wanted us to quickly look at a few irregularities in human resource management. The matters we have skipped, we'll come back to them. And Governor, the human resources is a regulated profession, and the law requires the head of human resource to be a member of the Institute of Human Resource Managers. I don't know whether your head of Director of Human Resources is present. Director, fine. So, under your professional oversight, the Auditor General has raised 12 paragraphs, 12, under human resource. Non-compliance with the law on fiscal responsibility on wage bill, That I will take as a policy issue. We don't need to spend too much time. We hope that if the mediation committee agrees to 454 billion and Samburu gets probably 8 billion eventually, that these percentages will improve. So let's not spend too much time on that. What is very concerning is 1.2, Governor?
Because the division of revenue bill or the county revenue bill is not yet through, it is the people of Samburu would think that we have 8 million. I appreciate what the Senate is doing by asking 454 and the National Assembly 420. We appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much. But it is not yet there. And if the Samburu people hear that we're going to get 8 billion, they will expect that 8 billion will come. And from my own experience in Parliament, these 420 and 454, most likely within mediation, some very little will change.
No, I think let's just have some faith, Governor. Governors were asking for 500 billion plus. Senators are pushing for 454. National Assembly is 420.
Yes.
We have a responsibility as a Senate to tell the public what we are working towards. So don't pour cold water on it. You should also tell your people that you are asking for 500 billion, which would have given Samburu 10 billion. So allow us to gloat over the 8 billion, because it might come through this afternoon. Let's start with non-deduction and remittance of pay as you earn. Auditor General.
Yes, thank you, thank you, Chair. Non-deduction and non-remittance of pay as you earn. The review of the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Database, IPPD, for the period under review revealed that the County Executive did not deduct pay as you earn of approximately Kenya shillings 2,707,946 from 47 employees, with no evidence provided to show that the county remitted the applicable taxes to the Kenya Revenue Authority. This was contrary to Section 5 of the Income Tax Act, Cap 470, requiring that all income earned in Kenya to be subject to income tax. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, this should be a very direct answer.
It's very direct. The 47 employees were people living with disabilities, and they're exempted from pay as you earn. Then there are two, I think 45, then 2 are interdicted employees.
Governor, because your answer is very brief, just read it just read it. I think it will flow better.
Chair, the 47 staff comprised of 2 main staff categories, those on interdiction and those living with disabilities. With regards to those on interdiction, 2 staff. The system cannot capture their pay as you earn, while PWD, 45 staff, the system could not capture, but they are exempted from paying pay as you earn.
Auditor General.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The results and the documentation has now been provided by the management. During the time of audit, the information had not been provided on the 47 staff. But given the reason that these are PWDs and the staff that were on interdiction, then this one is...
so staff on interdiction are not paid a salary? They are not paid anything? I mean, just quickly explain that basis. I thought staff on interdiction are paid a percentage of their salary?
Thank you, Chair. I think as the Governor read, he said that two staffs are on interdiction. That means their gross salary after earnings and also allowances cannot reach the threshold of the pay as you earn. So they are paid part of the salary. That means half salary is being paid for the basic salary and also for the house allowance. But these other like commuter allowance is not being paid, and any other allowances that are eligible for them to be paid.
Where were you when this question was raised by the Auditor General? Because you have given a very reasonable answer. Why did this matter have to come all the way to Nairobi?
Thank you, sir. Really, I believe that we provided this documentation because I remember even after...
just a minute. What's your role in the county?
payroll manager, Samburu County.
So when you say we provided, can you say I provided? Did
I
you
provided,
provide?
and even I remember...
To the Auditor General or to another officer in the organization?
I provided to the auditors who are there in our offices.
Auditor General, these are small things that should not be clogging up our reports.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The issue has been outstanding because the information that was provided then was not satisfactory, and that is why it was still an outstanding issue.
Governor, this is why I'm telling you, you are not, if the day you'll get outraged, you'll solve a lot of problems. Because you've got 12 paragraphs on things that could have been fixed right in Samburu, and thereby taking time of the Senate on things that should not come to Nairobi. If you look at the next matter, it is irregular pay deductions from employees with disabilities. A contradiction of what has been submitted in the other matter. Auditor General, is that still outstanding?
The issue is now partially addressed. The one on the...
What was the problem and what is it that has been fixed and what is outstanding so that we put the governor to task?
Okay, thank you, Chair. The issue was brought about by the migration of the system, their payroll system. The county executive was migrating to a new system called HRIS KE platform from the IPPD. So during the migration period, some of the functionalities were not complete. So the issue is now partially addressed.
No, but Auditor, you also need to help us. The answer to the prior question was that they could not deduct from persons living with disability, but in the next step, we are told that they are deducting irregularly from persons living with disability.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Previously, we had no information that the non-deducted, the 47, included the people living with disabilities. So we wanted explanation from the management to get to know who are these, the 47.
Governor, do you still want to take responsibility for this, the fact that your officers were not responding or providing information to the Auditor General, and therefore you end up with 12 paragraphs of things that are neither here nor there?
100%. But as you say, Chair, the auditors are also confusing us. They are terribly confusing us because in one query, they're saying, why didn't you deduct 2 million from employees? And we provided that those employees were PWDs and they're exempted. On the other one, they're querying, why didn't you deduct the P?
No, it's because they didn't have, it's because they didn't have your answer to the first question.
In fact,
if they had that answer, they would not have raised the second.
In fact, Chair, if I had the auditor correctly, these documents that you've now brought to the Senate, you did not provide at the point of audit. That's a problem, Governor, because I don't think that the Auditor General is unreasonable. I'm also an audited officer. If you provide documents, they cannot say a query is pending. So he's saying, these documents I've seen here, you have attached the exemption certificates from KRA for those staff. All that was required was that at the point of audit, provide documents. Then we wouldn't have to have these conversations in Nairobi. That was a problem. And this other one is about the migration to your new system. You know, so I don't think there's any confusion on the part of the Auditor General. It's the officers failing to provide documents at the point of audit that has brought us here.
Yeah, so let's quickly, you know, if you look at the headlines under that...
The auditors also, because some of these things, what do you call that meeting after when they leave? The exit and that letter. Some of these things are provided to them and they accept. But later on in the Senate, we will come up with the same things that we didn't receive them at the county level.
Governor, do you attend those meetings? So yes,
that's where the problem is.
That's where the problem is.
I want to advise you, Governor. That outrage you are showing towards the Auditor General, show it to your staff. Kikulacho kingwoni mwako. That's where the problem is. Look at a question on overcommitment of salaries. Governor, overcommitment of salaries. Irregular payment of special house allowances, irregular payment of extraneous duty allowances, irregular payment of special salary, salaries paid outside IPPD system. Yeah, let's look at irregular payment of special house allowances. Auditor General, is that still pending?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The issue is partially addressed as of now.
What is still remaining?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Now the question was on the payment of special house allowance to 10 employees who are employed on various dates after the December 2014. So the management has provided 2 SRC circulars, and in our submission to the committee, we were requesting the committee to guide on the same.
What are the dates of the circulars? Do they relate to the period during which the allowances were paid?
Yes, Chair. The circulars relate to the period. The first circular is 2014, December, and the second circular is August 2015. So the 10 employees were employed before the first circular, which capped the house allowance to around 20,000 for county directors.
I think let me give directions. The amount queried is 2.8 million. We have much bigger issues in this report. We look at those circulars and look at the response and see whether the law was breached. The same extraneous duty allowances, is it the same thing?
Yes, Chair. The issue is partially addressed. The only issue that we had out of the 3 issues that we addressed was the one on the veterinary officers. The county executive relied on a circular issued by the Ministry of Livestock, that is in September 2008. So our question was the role of SRC in the payment, in approval of payment of extraneous duty allowances.
If there are policy issues, we can find policy prescriptions so that we focus on areas where there is actual unexplained expenditure or irregular expenditure. But if it's a policy consideration, that we can do. Now, members, if I look at the time, we must deal with 1, 2, or 3 issues before the bell rings. And we have agreed maybe to allow the entity to prepare itself better, that we must have another session with the county government of Samburu. Let's look at procurement and distribution of food and ration. That is under procurement. So as we exit HR, Human Resource Director, you must remember that you're a member of a regulated profession. If the audit discloses 12 non-compliances in your department, it also shows that you need to pull up your socks. So the same way we have told accountants that ISPAC should deal with them, is the same way we'll be telling the HR professionals that your professional bodies must look at your fitness. But as you have seen, most of the things raised here are things you could have explained. They didn't need to find their way into the audit report. Now, is the head of procurement present? Again, another regulated profession. Who's the director of supply chain in this entity? Do you have a director of supply chain? Yeah, he needs to come in because some of the things that we are dealing with here relates to his professional responsibility. Unless, Governor, you want to take all the arrows for all your officers. So, procurement and distribution of food and ration. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Procurement and distribution of food and ration. The statement of financial performance and noted to the financial statements reflect use of goods and services of Kenya shillings 1,782,082,133,252, which includes specialized materials and services amounting to 348,10,691 Kenya shillings, out of which an amount of Kenya shillings 104,320,550 was incurred on food and ration. However, analysis of the food procured per type, distribution list of beneficiaries and deliveries, the basis used on the beneficiaries' identification and selection, and the acknowledgement or confirmation of receipt of the foods and rations by the beneficiaries were not provided for audit review. Further, included in the amount is Kenya shillings 4,450,000 paid to 2 suppliers under framework agreements to supply and deliver cooking oil. However, audit review revealed that a payment of Kenya shillings 1,925,000 for the supply and delivery of cooking oil was indicated as a pending bill for the financial year 2023-2024. However, the delivery was recorded to have occurred on 22nd April 2024. The local purchase order was dated 24th May 2024. The purchase requisition was prepared on 2nd May 2024, and the acceptance certificate was dated 17 May 2024, which was after the date of the delivery. The inconsistencies on the sequence of the procurement process were not explained. In addition, the awarded contractor was non-responsive at the preliminary evaluation stage by failing to attach the tax compliance certificate, but was awarded the contract at the sum of Kenya shillings 2,525,000. Further, the inspection and acceptance certificate was dated 8 January 2025, while the delivery was done on 10th January 2025. So no explanation for the inconsistency was provided. In the circumstances, the value for money for the expenditure of Kenya shillings 104,320,550 would not be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, you may respond to justify the expenditure of 104 million. Who is responding for the record for Hansard purposes? I think, Governor, you will need to, if you are asking someone to respond on your behalf, just go on record as saying so-and-so is going to respond.
I will ask the CFO to respond.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding food distribution program, it is important to place the following critical clarifications on the records. First, food procured type was in line with the department requisition, which are attached as Annexure 20A. With the same annexure, also a failed food and oil distribution. To clarify further, there was no particular basis for beneficiary identification. All public ECDs automatically qualified to receive these supplies. Acknowledgement letters are also provided in the same annexure 20A. Additionally, Chair, I would like to offer a correction regarding administrative timelines of this procurement process. To clear up any discrepancies, the department chronologically executed the procurement step as follows. Number 1, requisition for foodstuff and oil, dated 2nd May 2024. Number 2, LPO issued to suppliers, dated 24th May 2024. Number 3, supply of goods, dated 22nd June 2024. And lastly, inspection and acceptance, dated 27th June 2024. All the documentation mentioned above are hereby provided as Annexure 20B. Finally, Chair, on the issue of supplier selection, the bidding process was based on a 3-year framework agreement. Also, tax compliance certificate and other compliance documents had therefore been provided earlier on the commencement of the agreement. Attached as Annexure 20C is the evaluation report for the framework agreement, April 2024. That's supply and delivery of foodstuff.
Auditor General, before we query, you have looked at those annexures?
Yes, Chair, we've looked at the annexures that were submitted to us.
Are they responding to your query?
Partially, it has responded to our queries. However, the issue that we still have with the documentation is the delivery note. The delivery note was issued before the LPO, meaning the goods were delivered before issuance of the LPO. That's the first issue. And the second issue is on the basis of identification of the beneficiaries is not well clearly put.
Okay, Senator Sifuna.
In fact, I noticed the same. You said the chief officer. You have listed 4 documents there. Is there in your annexure the delivery note? Where's the delivery note? Because even on the list, you've listed 4 documents there. There's nothing speaking about the delivery. Is it in the annexure 20B?
Yeah, it's part of the annexure.
Okay, take us to it. because I can see the purchase requisition form, I can see the local purchase order, I can see a delivery. What is the date on that document, Governor? This is the one by Narinyu Enterprises Limited. I think, Governor, we were dealing with the chief. He's the one who's showing me where the documents are.
So the delivery note is under Annexure 24A.
No, 20A.
20A.
20B or A?
Yes, 20A. 20A.
Your response says 20B. So I go to 20A. Chief, I go to 20A. Huh?
20A.
I want to see the delivery note because in your response, you have not pointed us to any delivery note. Now, if you go to Annexure 20B, there is a delivery note by Narinyu Enterprises Limited for cooking oil. Can you see it? It's your response that has sent us to 20B. If you want us to go to another annexure, you just tell us. But, Governor, there is a delivery note at annexure 20B, and it's a delivery note from Narinyu Enterprises Limited for cooking oil. It is dated the 22nd of April 2024. That is where the discrepancy that the Auditor General is asking is coming from. How is it possible that you have a delivery note for a purchase you have not done?
Chair, I need a clarification. Did he say 20A or 20B?
With respect to? We have both A and B, but maybe let them just respond to the specific question. 20B, which I think they're trying to rework the dates to validate the procurement. The Auditor General says that there are things that happened before, for example, a child was born before conception. That is what we are seeing here.
Governor, let me help you because we need to go to the House. Your team doesn't read the documents they bring us here in the Senate. In that same annexure, there is a letter from your county government signed by somebody called a meals coordinator. It is very strange. I'm a Luya man, but I've never heard of a meals coordinator. Governor, there's a letter there saying that this delivery note was made in error. And it tells you that people are backtracking, covering their tracks, because the Auditor General has been able to catch them in the act.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Please allow me.
You need to introduce yourself. So
My name is Mark Kegelan, and I'm the CC for Education.
You are not the meals coordinator?
No.
Okay.
Allow me to say something, then if you need more information, you will hear from the meals
be very precise. We have
Yeah.
only 20 minutes.
So we noted the discrepancies, which were errors that were made by the supplier. We raised those concerns. We wrote letters to the supplier that your information is dated wrongly. And they responded and made those corrections. And we have those as annexures in these documents. Thank you.
Point us to that annexure that is corrected.
All right. 20B. So if you look at the annexure 20B, you will see delivery note corrected. You will see the acceptance report. You will also see letters that were done by the meals coordinator to the supplier. actually to the CEO, then to the supplier. So all this information was.
Can we focus on the letter by Narinyu to the Chief Officer Education, which I believe you are? You're the Chief Officer Education?
The Chief Officer is here.
Yeah, it's part of what you're referring to, isn't it? Yes. That's what you're referring to?
Yeah.
As the correction?
Yes.
That's your case, isn't it?
Yeah.
When was it received by Samburu County Government?
First of June.
There is evidence. Every government
Are you reading the same document, my brother?
Every government entity, every county entity, if it's a significant matter of procurement and contract, upon receipt, there must be a stamp indicating the date of receipt, failure to which this is forgery. When was this letter received?
The letter we received before we got the information from.
Where is the evidence of your acknowledgement or stamp, unless Samburu operates differently? This is a serious contractual matter.
Yeah.
A serious matter that can land someone in jail. And so a supplier amends the date on a delivery note. And I'm looking at your letter here. Where is the evidence that it was received on the dates that you're alleging? That evidence is supposed to be a date stamp, isn't it? Governor, when something is received in Samburu, isn't it a requirement that it be stamped before distribution?
Yeah, in fact, Chair, more worryingly for you, Governor, just to demonstrate that these documents were prepared to pull the wool over the Auditor General and the Senate. When Narinyu is writing to the Chief Officer Education on the 1st of July 2024, that letter, first of all, as the Chair has rightly pointed out, is not acknowledged so that we know it was actually received by the county government. But then they say, attached, please find a delivery with the correct dates. Chair, I hope you can see that. Now, that delivery actually has a stamp when it was received by your county government. Governor, that date is 22nd June 2024, receiving a document on 1st of July 2024. There are games being played. And there is another concern that the Auditor General has raised, that this particular supplier was non-responsive at the initial stage. How is it possible that they ended up getting this tender? I don't think there is any explanation.
So I think for clarity, the attempt to rejig the dates to fit within the procurement cycle is unacceptable just by dint of your own submissions. If I would have seen a date acknowledging this amendment by Narinyu within the time frames, we would not be asking this question. But this is a letter that could be printed in cyber in Maralal. Unless, Governor, you have some explanation, but you need to be outraged. Because you are the one getting embarrassed, but there are people around you who are doing these things and bringing records to Senate that do not make sense.
Chair, they think we don't read. I think that's the assumption.
Now, let's go beyond that, and maybe for time, because we have established that these are records that are not admissible.
Senator, one day, I know you're going to run for governor. And I hope you'll become a governor.
Governor order. Governor order. You will talk to Interrogate directly outside this meeting. You have procured.
But I don't buy tea.
Governor, let's come back to this, Senator Cherargei. We will be running away from the issue, and for 104 million shillings, 104 million shillings, not small money, 104 million shillings. What did you buy, and who received it? You know, that was a thrust of this audit query, that analysis of the food procured per type, distribution lists and deliveries, bases used for identification were not provided for audit review. What you have done in your response is to clarify the policy. How do we know that 104 million, if it bought rice and cooking oil, it was given to the children of Samburu and not children of another area, or it didn't go to people's pockets. That to me is the most significant question that we must deal with here. How do we know that 104 million benefited the children and the people of Samburu? Governor, I think that's a question, and even for you, you'd be happy to explain how that 104 million got to the people of Samburu. Where is the evidence?
Well, there's a beneficiary list in the file, and Senator, we have a CEO here for education who buys this food and distributes.
Yeah, where is he?
Why don't you allow him to say something?
Yeah. Can you tell us? Can you give us that assurance? Is it the guy with the other discredited letter? Okay, let's hope this one is going to be better.
Yeah. So, Chair, attached, there is that.
Sorry, who is this?
I'm David Lanakula, Chief Officer, Education. So what I'm saying is that there is a distribution list for all the ECD centers.
Annex what?
I think it is just in that Annex 20B. 20A, 20A.
20A, just point us to it.
And there are also deliveries acknowledging receipt of the same.
There you are annexures, just run us through them.
Yeah.
Chair, I can confirm my set of documents does not have what that officer is speaking about.
Officer, my set of documents, Annex 20A, has got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 delivery notes.
Yes.
So tell us what they mean.
Those are the deliveries to the ECD centers, the named ECD centers.
So these 5 account for the 104 million?
No, it's just a sample of that. We have a very big file for the deliveries, all the ECD centers. And then we also have the distribution list for all the centers in Samburu County. But Chair, when we talk about education, I want to say the 104 million is not for education only. But
how much of it was education?
Education, what I'm talking about here is 10 million for Nari.
10 million?
Yes.
So,
but you see, I think we also have other food substances that are being given out, say for example in the health sector. But for us, we are talking about the 10 million for Nari.
So you are 10 million out of 104 million?
Yes.
So who accounts for the remaining 94 million?
I think that is also a query. That's what we are also trying to get from the auditors.
Yeah, please give us the answer, because the auditor cannot give an answer.
Thank you, Chair. What auditor queried are 2 payments, one amounting to 1.9, and the other one is 2.5. That's the annexes that we have provided for.
I am reading the auditor's report, which says that out of 348 million, an amount of 104 million was incurred on food and ration. However, analysis of the food procured per type, distribution list of the beneficiaries and deliveries, the basis used on beneficiaries' identification, selection, and the acknowledgement confirmation of receipt of the food and rations by the beneficiaries were not provided for audit review. We have not made up that query. It is there. It was in your management letter, in your draft certificate, in the final certificate. And give us the answer to that.
Chair, what we have here in the list of beneficiaries, these are schools.
Which is 10 million.
Schools receive the foodstuffs. How do they indicate that they have received? Because then, as part of evidence, we don't just need a list. Morijo, ECD, Lelere, Kujita, Loinganyai.
If you look at Annex 2A, there is that delivery note.
2A?
Yes.
2A, 20A.
There is the delivery, 20A, sorry. There is a delivery note. This one has even...
Is a delivery note signed by the school, or it is signed by the receiving officers? Because I'm imagining that the food from the supplier comes to some receiving center, and they issue a delivery note, of which then an invoice is given against that delivery note for payment. But when you distribute the schools in the food in the ECD centers, Who makes sure that the food has reached the destination, the last mile?
There is a sign when the teacher receives the food, they sign against the delivery note.
I think the Chief Officer Education has done fairly well for himself because he has said he takes responsibility for 10 million. And the samples that he has given us here are for the first one, the first school received 2 bags of rice. The second one, 2 bags of rice, that's 4. The other one, 2 bags of rice, that's 6. The other one, 3 bags of rice, that's 9. The other one, 2 bags of rice, that's 11. He has accounted for 11 bags of rice. The total amount is 100 million. So if the chief officer has provided some samples, who is supposed to provide samples for the remaining 90 million? The remaining 94 million?
Chair.
At least Chief Officer Education amejitetea.
Chair.
Hiyo ingine ilienda wapi?
Chair, this is what I'm saying. What we have here, we have just sampled the school. In fact, the files are very, very big.
No, Chief Officer, you have said in your department you can account for 10 million.
Yes.
Leave it there. Who accounts for the 94 million?
Yeah, and some food went to the hospitals. Do you have Chief Officer Health to account for the rest? Or the number of bags that went to the hospitals?
I think under health, you also you can also find
Can you speak for health?
No.
Yeah, then let the person who's competent to do so and point us to the supporting
And Chair, the
documentation.
Chief Officer should know that just like he's giving us samples to show some deliveries, the sample that the Auditor General went with on the question of delivery of cooking oil has left us with very many questions about what is going on there. So we need to have a clearer picture of everything. In fact, if it were possible, Chair, we would sample every single line of foodstuff under this program, because we can see there are problems there. Whenever we encounter entities here that come and backdate documents and appear like the procurement process was rejigged to favor people, it's questions we have to raise for the people of Samburu. So you, because you have carried your burden well, I think at least according to the chair, let the one for health also speak for themselves.
Yeah, so Governor, we've got a long list here of ECDs, but your officer tells us that's about 10 million. Where did 94 million worth of food supplies go? That was a question the auditor was asking at the time of audit. Governor, are you responding on that, or there's an officer you want to respond?
I want the CFO to respond, because at the point of payment, he's the one that pays everything county, irrespective of whether it's health or...
CFO, we've gotten a picture of ECDs, which we are told is about 10 million. What about the 94 million?
I think total amount of money allocated to education for foodstuffs is that 70 million.
70 million?
Yes.
So your officer has got the wrong number?
Yes, he needs to account the rest. And also...
he needs to account for the rest?
Yes.
But you cannot be asking your officer to account for the rest here.
No, he provided for a sample of 10 million.
No. The sample is less than 10 million. He says what went into education program is about 10 million. Now you are saying it is 70 million.
Yes, and the rest went to health.
So the difference, the gap between 10 and 70 million, who accounts for it?
Education.
And Chief Officer, you are the one who is making the payments to the suppliers. How do you tell the other chief officers to account for?
I think we need to allow...
that payment is not made centrally, it is made by the departments.
If someone has to have tea, then it needs to be CFO and Chief Officer Education.
Yes.
So that you're on the same page.
Correct.
You can't give different answers. I think you guys need to align.
Just allow me this. We are one of the few counties that do ECD school feeding program, which I like, because
which is very good.
Just allow me to finish.
There's no doubt.
I'm going to be very brief.
But there we even praise your CEO
I'm going to be very brief. I'm not even praising myself, but I want to correct the CEO education, even if he's the accounting officer. We are one of the few that feeds kids, and it helps. When I got in, we had 30,000 ECD kids going to Samburu. Samburu is a small county, so it might not sound like a big...
good in an education committee.
It might not sound a big number to Sifuna, who is a senator for Nairobi.
Governor...
Now we have 41,000 kids.
Governor, with a lot of respect, you know parliamentary procedure In the next 10 minutes, we must adjourn.
Okay.
So that's why I just wanted us to have
this one
very direct answers to the 104 million.
70 to 75 million, and it is in the budget. The budget document is a public document to ECD program each year.
That is the budget. This is expenditure.
Every term is about 25 million. So the answer given by the CEO Education in my sitting here is inaccurate, because even if you're dealing with one term, it's about 25 million.
Okay. Pause it there. Senator Cherarke.
Chair, maybe we can go to page 26. On the certificate. Okay. Chair, under specialized materials on the notes, that is note number 10 of 348 million. And I think that is where the OAG generated the query, because if you read at the query, including is 348 million, 010,691. So unless the governor is disowning the financial statements, because I don't think the OAG would generate something without the basis. The basis, and we said, and your director took it casually, and he even went ahead at some point by saying, you know, these documents, we did it with a team. Is the governor disowning the financial statements? Because the OAG generated from somewhere on this specialized material of 348 million, and we have seen governor in annex, even in the counter requisition, issuance of voucher, the payment and requests can only be accounted for 10 million. So that question would remain. So, Governor, do you disassociate yourself from your own financial statements? Under specialized material services, that is note number 10, page 26 of the certificate.
Governor?
Because you are saying it is in the budget, but your own documents is saying something else. No, you are the one who said it is in the budget 70 million. This is on financial statements.
What specific item?
I thought you said in your budget of education is 70 million.
Yeah,
Didn't
I
it say?
said, and I was not very precise on the figures, that I know for sure.
So
that
you are
every
running
year,
away
just allow
from
me
your
to
own
say,
statement.
I was not referring to any statement. I'm just saying, I was just speaking about the school feeding program. We allocate about 70 to 75 million. What I know every term takes about 25 million to feed our kids. We have 3 terms. Sometimes it varies 70, sometimes it's 78, sometimes depending on supply.
Yeah, Governor,
So, Chair,
the policy is okay, but the numbers must make sense.
Yes.
I've seen where Senator Cherarke is coming from. It's 104 out of that amount that has been queried.
Correct.
Your Chief Officer Education has attempted, and in your response, you have given us the answer that, to clarify, there was no particular basis for beneficiary identification. All public ECD centers automatically qualify to receive these supplies. Your officer says he can account for 10 million. Your CFO says it should be 70 million. Assuming it was 70 million, who accounts for the remainder of the 34 million?
The remainder of the 34 million will be accounted by the CFO in numbers. But
CFO, can you account for the 34 million?
Why it goes? It goes to different...
Yes, we can account for that, because it's a budget allocated for food stuff for hospitals. The 35 million.
We must move from budget to expenditure, because those two are different. That is what the auditor is asking. CFO, did you not see what the auditor was asking, which was extremely straightforward, that you just needed to provide for audit review analysis of food procured per type? Auditor General, was that provided? Analysis of food procured per type?
It wasn't provided, Chair.
Distribution list of beneficiaries, was that provided?
At the time of audit, it was not provided.
And again, they've said that there was no, and then basis used on beneficiaries identification and selection, was that provided for audit?
No, it was not provided.
So everything we are dealing with here is speculation. The only part you have attempted to justify is what has come from education. The rest on health or whatever other function
the CEO health is here.
is not on record.
I have the CEO health here.
CEO health, can you point us to the annexure with the explanation that you are going to make, you're about to make? Remember,
thank you, Chair.
Just a minute. Remember, these written responses were tabled by the governor under oath. So we take them to be true. So if you're going to say something outside of this, tell us so that we put you under oath.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe just a clarification on health, because I think during the audit, the health department was able to account for the food procured under health, and that's why it is not in the audit query.
So this 104 million does not include the
I
health?
think it is in the within the budget.
Officer, how do you know that health is outside the 104 million?
Yeah, because, okay, I'm saying because it is part of the food and rations in the budget. Allocation for health is about 40 million. But we were able to account for all of it, and it was not queried.
Who told you it was not queried? Who said so? Who told you?
Maybe
use the words of Sifuna.
The auditors can confirm.
Who told you? The governor has given you an opportunity to explain because he says you have an explanation. And you are saying it was not queried.
Officer, for your benefit, the whole amount of 104 was queried. So whereas your colleague seated next to you has been able to provide samples for his portion, 10, and at some point the governor was saying the CEO for health should carry the entire cross. Governor, do you usually see these people, or Samburu is such a vast county that you don't have meetings before you come to the Senate?
Sorry, Senator, would tell us that if you are doing a financial year, all financial year, and you've allocated over 70 million to education, and I know it's part of these food rations, there is no way the CEO is only telling us about 10 million. It's not possible.
No, that one we agreed that maybe the numbers, and they can sort that out. And I said, let's assume it was 70 million. It still leaves 34 million. Yeah, and that 34 million you said is accounted for under health. And the chief officer health claims that he was not queried. And that's why, to avoid a situation where we look like we are scandalizing you guys, I might even want to call timeout for this team to go and organize itself.
Because, Chair, I was wondering, Governor, if you were me seated here as a senator, how do you reconcile the position that have been taken by the health chief officer and your position and what the education CEO is telling us? How do you reconcile that? Who is telling the truth between the three of you?
It's absurd because, as the chairman put it rightfully, who told him, the way he said, that this is not an education? So I want to agree with that. But I think, Chair, I want to ask kindly the auditors here to also help us. Because within this 104, which is lumped as food rations, I know for sure that this food for rations is from different departments. There must be for education, as you said. There must be for...
Yeah. Governor, if you are to answer this question and your officers, the question was very clear. However, analysis of the food procured per type. When you are coming to the Senate, is it possible to have the food procured per type? Maize, this number of bags. Beans, this number of bags. Lentils, this number of bags. And then, if you ask something like the basis used on beneficiary identification stroke selection, it is possible if it is food for ECDs, is there a policy on food so that you say all ECDs are supposed to get this amount of food, maybe number of grams per child, so the ones who have more kids, a policy, you bring a policy. We identified the schools and the amount we gave because there's a policy. It's possible to answer these questions properly if you read with the officers and answer the questions specifically depending on the question that I asked. Otherwise, if you look at these annexures and everything we've answered, it doesn't answer the questions.
Senator Chirage, when you look at the time, you can give us a comment that moves us forward.
Chair, I think I agree with you that this entity needs time out because there is no way in the audit practice that auditor will generate 104 million without the auditing entity providing necessary schedule. So it is not from abstract, it is not from vacuum. It is generated from the schedules that were provided by the entity during the audit. So Chair, looking at 104 million or whichever the number the entity wants to move to, I think will not do justice if only 10 million can be accounted for, yet the entity is not providing further information. So, Chair, with your indulgence, looking at the time and we are supposed to reconvene in the next 5 minutes, we adjourn and give the entity and the governor further time to provide clarity, because at the end of the day, Chair, the people of Samburu would want to know each and every shilling that we give to Samburu will be accounted blow by blow. I think that will do justice. I yield back, Chair.
Me to also,
Governor,
I want to seek some intelligence also on that. Please allow me as a committee, because I also want to know everything about the 104, and I know it is there. Only that these people are messed up. You see it out there too. Please allow me to do a written response, a very good written response on each and every item that was bought, on the beneficiaries, on the amount of all this 104, and send to the committee.
Remember, at the beginning of this meeting, we indicated that we did an affirmative action allocation of 374 million. And that one is not hypothetical. That one is actual. That one, irrespective of the outcome of DORA, Samburu is going to get 300 million plus over and above every other county. But when we have a query on 104 million, which we are not making sense out of, it makes some of us who are not beneficiaries start feeling bad, that we are throwing good money after bad money. So yes, we will require a very detailed explanation, but we have covered probably just about 30% of the issues that are here. But my experience with Samburu is that today we have done better than we have ever done before. Because in the past, we have dealt more with procedural and technicalities and extraneous matters. At least today we are looking at the numbers. At least today we are speaking to the professionals. At least today we are putting to task the persons given responsibility under the PFM Act and regulations. And I think that the employees of Samburu do not think that the governor will take all the bullets and take all the arrows and we shall get away. There will be those arrows that will be aimed at the governor CEO, but everyone must also take individual responsibility. It is untidy when chief officers of the same entity come to the Senate with different numbers. And I do not want to extend that spectacle for too long. I want the governor to have a sense of outrage, go back home, take administrative action. I want the governor to commit that you will have a conversation with the Auditor General before you come to the Senate. Because if there had been an engagement, I don't know whether there was an engagement between your office and the Auditor General before this meeting. Auditor General, can you confirm?
Yes, I confirm that we met after when they submitted their responses. We had an engagement with them. We went through the documentation.
Who was leading that delegation?
CC Finance.
So CC Finance, you must do better, because it's like you went for revision and then now the exam has come. And then it looks like it's paper 2 that has been brought out, because now you're looking clueless. So we are going to allow you time to sit with your team. I don't like when members of the same team speak different languages, because it indicates a breakdown in something. And we must demonstrate to the people of Samburu that this exercise is not a witch hunt. It is not about personal vendetta or any personal pursuit. We want Samburu to succeed. It can only succeed if the structures are working and if the officers are working in one accord. I think, members, I don't know whether there's anything much to say, but we must allow Samburu to reorganize themselves, and we reinvite them on another day for us to deal with the residual matters. The receiver of revenue report we have not addressed. Earlier on in our consideration, we noticed that you treat hospital fees differently from other counties. You don't disclose it in your receiver of revenue statement. And it's a matter that we have discussed with the National Treasury on the right thing to do. We will give you another date on a day when we have more time. And Governor, I want to encourage you that when you give you that date, please come. As you have seen, that when you apply our minds to working for the people, we can get the job done, irrespective of our politics and irrespective of our personal differences. Any other comment from my members before the governor makes his closing remarks? Senator Ezena?
Thank you, Chair. It's been wonderful joining your committee for the first time, and I appreciate being here. And I want to agree with you fully that it is important that we give the county government of Samburu more time to go and bring very detailed responses and all the particulars. And I also want to encourage them that sometimes when you appear before this meeting, bring extra details, even those that you've not been asked for, because I noticed there was a gap whereby there's a question that comes up with the senators and the document is not there, but it is there. I know you have it in the county. So just be extra prepared. Come with extra details that you might think will strengthen your argument. And I also think, Chair, you need to tell the governor that during the meeting with the OAG, he needs to be there also, so that he's appraised of what the CCs are doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Zena. Governor, your closing remarks?
Sure. Let me thank you very much because of your leadership today. And I think one reason, apart from us doing better, as you said, one reason why we did better is today we didn't have, I think this is how I would love to see us facing the committee of Senate next time. We deal with issues and you help us correct one or two things, then it helps the people of Samburu move forward. I want to go back with these people and see what I can do. Some of them have not done very well. And I will have to take some administrative action, whatever that will be. Finally, Senator, I will come here every time that I'll be invited to come to this committee. I want to make that committee. Sometimes we end up being part of some bodies, and those bodies make decisions. And because you are part of those bodies, you end up being part of that decision, even if it was not your own decision. The issues we had before came through the Council of Governors. If we were to be left, each one of us, I would have been here and no problem. We just did very well. So please understand that we also have those kind of issues. And we have nothing against anyone, nothing against the committee. More so, nothing against coming here so that we can all help the people of Samburu. I wanted to speak about my...
I think where you have left it is very good. It's very good. Let's not belabor it. We have agreed that we are progressing.
But how did you know where I'm going, sir? I've had a very bad experience my last time in the Senate, and it is disservice to me if I don't say that.
Let's not go there. You have just commended me for avoiding sideshows throughout the meeting, so let's not bring them at the end. I think our commitment is that we shall be very fair. We shall be very fair with the governors who appear before us, but we shall also be firm, very firm, as the law requires, on the governor and the team to whom we send money. We shall communicate the recommendations on the few issues you have dealt with and also communicate the date of our next meeting. I hope that when you come, all your ducks will be in a row and everyone will be speaking the same language. The meeting is therefore adjourned.
Chair, of the work that we do here with senators in paperwork, it is very important. It also helps if one day this committee, this good committee, can take a... I go to Samburu every week, so it would not hurt the committee if 1 week you would come to Samburu, go see the feeding programs, go confirm the, those things that we do here. I think it helps because your intentions are good. You want this money that comes from here to be utilized well in Samburu. It will help if you look at the paperwork. It also helps if you could come and see small kids feeding on the food that we are talking here.
No, I agree, Governor. I totally agree. We can come and look at the 10 million, but we'll still query the 94 million. This meeting is adjourned.